I fell asleep in the bath once with a nosebleed, and it was scary waking up to that. You ever fell asleep in a bath?
No, that's how people die.
Nah, it was like a shallow bath.
You can still die. Still die.
How am I gonna like?
Hello and welcome to the Trash Taste Podcast. This is now episode 2, hopefully, unless
we fucked up somehow.
unless we fucked up somehow. I am your host for the day, Gigguk, and joining me is Connor from
Connor from CDawg.
Connor from CDawgVA, and Joey from TheAnimeMan.
Hi.
Wow, that's a lot more energetic than last time.
I know, right?
Yeah, I just like came in nonchalantly, like, hey guys, welcome to
Hey guys, welcome to Trash Taste Podcast. I should be like that because I'm gonna say right now, apologies if I'm a bit out of it. I'm slightly hungover because it was my birthday celebrations yesterday. So
how old are you? 47?
I am, well, in YouTube years, yes, because
Yeah.
I've been around since the beginning of YouTube, basically. But no, I've finally hit my dirty 30s.
Oh my god, that's scary, dude.
I know.
I always forget the huge like age gap between us.
Yeah.
three.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
between Connor and Garnt, there's what, seven years?
Yeah.
7 years.
I'm 23, yeah.
That's fucking insane.
that's
I
weird.
forget all the time that you are 20.
Everyone thinks I'm like 30, especially in Japan. Everyone.
Yeah.
30.
Yeah, I mean it's the beard.
Yeah, everyone
doesn't-
just
that
beard.
doesn't help.
You immediately have like 4 mortgages, a car, and 2 kids.
But because it was Garnt's birthday, I got him a gift.
I wonder what this could be.
I wonder.
I wonder.
It's manga.
See, we've just reached that age, where this is just a acceptable gift that you can give anyone.
Yeah.
So let's do the unboxing, shall we?
Oh, that's
Yes.
some ASMR
ASMR
on the
unboxing
podcast.
time.
Yeah. And you see, we've already got wine glasses because we had no idea what this could possibly be. But ooh.
Oh,
Okay.
fancy.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it is fancy. So basically at our supermarket, I'll tell the story while you're opening
Okay.
that. So basically at the supermarket that we all live near, which
Yeah.
I'm not going to say,
Yeah.
there's like a booze section, like a liquor store section. And I didn't know for the longest time that not only is there a liquor store section, but there's like a dedicated section to wine,
Okay.
like a
Right.
wine like room, I guess. So I got an Italian one, I think.
Barolo?
Barolo.
I misread this at first. I was like, Baruto? Like, I was like, is this anime wine?
Boruto
No.
wine.
Boruto wine.
Yeah.
It just sounds like a generic Dragon Ball villain.
Yeah.
Barolo. Goku vs. Barolo.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Right.
Yeah, no
Joey.
worries.
I don't know too much about wines apart from if they're in
Red or white.
Yeah. What color is it?
if they're red or white or if they're one of the 10 from Drops of God.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that, but Barolo is like, I think it's like pretty well known in Italy, I think.
Right.
The guy was like, oh yeah, if you want like a well-known Italian wine, like get Barolo. So, hey, if anyone's watching this episode or listening to this episode,
Probably more
and you're
more than
Italian,
us.
let
Yeah.
us know if you know Barolo.
I just don't think like the fuck is a Barolo? We don't drink Barolo.
That's what they call Boruto in Italy.
Actually, it's funny because how I got into wine initially was literally Drops of God.
Yeah.
Because before that, I was like, why does anyone would drink wine? I just want a cold beer. I don't want to but after you read Drops of God once and you're like, I love wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wine's great.
I read Drops of God on a flight. I think it was, what was the flight? I don't know. It's from like America or somewhere. And I remembered reading Drops of God. And you know when like the little cart comes by? And
Yeah,
like, what do you want to
yeah.
drink? And I was like, of course I want wine. I'm a connoisseur of fine tastes. Of course. Why even ask me the question?
Yeah, I was
And then
about to ask. I hope you were drinking wine on the flight while you were reading
So
that.
she gets out the little bottle of wine they crack open and pours it into this plastic cup for me, and it was like the most pathetic drink I'd ever had because I was sitting there like swirling this plastic cup that like a 10-year-old would drink a drink out of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just being like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because table wine, we all know table wine on flights is basically just like grape juice with hand sanitizer in it. Like it's disgusting.
I mean, because you can't even taste like things that aren't like super salty, right? On
Yeah.
flights anyway. So
Yeah,
what's the-
exactly.
I feel like wine is the worst thing.
I feel like it's that point when you're watching something that's super good. Like, for example, when you're watching Shokugeki, you're like, this food looks amazing. And you're sitting there with your fucking takeaway kombini meal. And you're like, this is kind of like A5 beef that I'm eating now.
It's A5 beef that I just imagine hard enough.
There's nothing more orgasmic than Kraft mac and cheese.
Well,
Oh
thank
yeah,
you.
let's
Wow.
pour that.
Wow.
Ooh,
It's quite light.
From such a height.
From such a...
Which was another meme that originated from Drops of God. If
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry, okay?
Absolute amateur hour right here.
my God.
I love how you're like tilting that like it's
I'm
beer.
sorry, okay? I'm sorry. I'm not a waiter.
When is the
I'm an
podcast
Anituber.
actually going to start?
The podcast is starting now. Happy birthday.
cheers.
guys.
Cheers.
Happy
Thank you
birthday,
very
Carl.
much.
Congratulations. So, boys, what are we discussing today? What's the
So,
topics
yeah,
on our
I mean, on the
minds?
topic of, we talked about, because we live quite close together, right? We live within,
Like a 5-minute walking distance. Yeah.
So I think a good topic would be how we, what our experiences are like living here in Japan now that we've all finally moved here. Because we just moved here. How many months have we been living here now?
It's actually like 8.
8 months.
Which is crazy. 'cause
Really?
Yeah. October. So it's just hit June. So it was like,
Yeah.
and this was like mid-October. It's like 7.5 months, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's
Wow.
scary. It does not feel like 8
No,
months
no.
at all.
Well, to be fair, the last 2 months, I might as well have been living in fucking Australia. I had no, quarantine does things to you, and I hadn't heard anyone speak Japanese for
Yeah.
like about 2 months, except for
Yeah.
like that brief moment when you'd go out to buy groceries, and I just forget that I was living in Japan.
Yeah, legit. Like, I remember like catching the train for the first time in like 2 months, and I was just like, so the world is full of wonder.
I was like, I felt like I was like Castaway, like when he like
Tom
came
Hanks.
back. Tom Hanks after Castaway when he came back to humanity, like Wilson,
Because I don't know if you guys have, but I still haven't gone into Tokyo yet.
I went there for
Like central Tokyo.
yeah. I think the first time I went there was like yesterday, and that was literally just because it was like quarantine was over just on like the day of my birthday.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
yeah.
woo, this is fate. I'm gonna go out and have some nice food. But even now, there's like a lot of places are still closed.
Yeah.
So it's still not like everything's open yet. But yeah, it's been a really fast 8 months. It hasn't felt like 8 months at all. Like, I guess my first question to you guys. My first question to you guys is like, what made you decide to move to Japan in the first place? Because you've been here for how many years now?
I've been here 4 years now.
Yeah, I guess for you it's more obvious though.
I mean, yeah, because I've spent like half my life here, and I have family up north and in Tokyo. At least with me, like, I'm pretty sure I've said this in videos before, but like, I was gonna move to Japan after I graduated from uni anyway, because I think this was like back when I had maybe like 20k 30k subs, so I wasn't doing it full time at all. I was in like my second year of university, and I was interning at like a Japanese like IT company, which I believe is now like defunct. Like, it doesn't exist anymore, I don't think. So glad that internship never went through. But yeah, so I was gonna move to Japan anyway, because like it just makes sense for me, because I'm fluent in both English and Japanese, which is such a huge plus here. Like, if you know both languages, like, you can pretty much get a job anywhere.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll
get to that.
And like, no one in Australia gives a shit if you can speak Japanese. Like,
yeah, exactly. Right.
Like, my dad works at like a Japanese IT company for like 30 years. He can't speak a word of Japanese.
Yeah.
It's because no one in the office can speak Japanese, right? But here, it's like, if you can speak English, you can do business with anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In or out of Japan. So it just was like a natural process for me to like, okay, I get my paper, I work at like some fucking IT company in Japan, and then we're all good. So
yeah, it's funny because I reckon one of the few industries where Japanese can be super important is anime and manga, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you maxed out your luck there.
Yeah, exactly. So like, either way, like it was just a natural like path for me to like move here.
Yeah.
But instead of doing that desk job that I had set my plans on, YouTube for me blew up like in my third year of uni when I graduated. And so I was just like, all right, I'll
Guess I'll do this.
do YouTube for as long as I can, and then
You're still doing it.
I'm still doing it. Somehow I'm still doing it. I know, it's crazy. The story of, or I guess like the original plan that was brought up to you guys about moving here was like a year ago?
Yeah, because I wanted to move here for a while. I remember, like, since we first met each other and since my first trip to Japan, I was like, I could really see myself living here. This is not like the typical weeb kind of fantasy. I actually never had that. You know, I was I remember back in the day when it was like mid 2000s. The weeaboo dream was to live in Japan and, you know,
work in the anime industry.
It was just like a fucking dream that nobody had ever proven, or, you know. So it was just that weeb dream. But I never really wanted that. I was like, you know, I'm happy with a normal career. I'd never really fantasized about going to Japan. But I remember the first time I came here, it was so eye-opening for me, because it was like, you know that feeling when you're like, man, this country just works in a lot of ways, and it's to do with my job. So I'm like, this could be a really good opportunity for me.
I definitely felt the same thing with how I thought about Japan. I couldn't have cared less about living here. And I thought people who were learning the language at the time, you know, I was like 15, 14. I was like, that's kind of cringe, bro. But like now that, you know, I've actually started to learn it.
I regret it so much.
I regret that like I didn't learn any, because I could have been like a few months ahead at least, right, of learning the language.
I wish I was more weeaboo.
Yeah,
like now that the cringy weeaboo phase is over, I wish I was that cringy weeaboo, because that would give me so much more of an advantage now that I'm here in Japan.
Like,
exactly.
You know, and a part of me, I remember when I used to think that way, like anyone who's learning it, it's just like, wow, it's so sad. You're never like actually going to learn it. But like, to be fair, if you're learning anything, you know, any other kind of language, especially if you only speak one, I think that's like, good on you. Like, better yourself, you know, like who gives a shit. And I really regret that I thought that everyone who's learning Japanese because of anime is pathetic. Like, but then again, I was like an edgy teenager, right? And we all think that. And yeah, like you said, I had no intention or want to live here. I was pretty content in the UK. And even when I visited here, I thought, wow, this is an amazing place to come visit, right? But I don't think I was still sold yet on moving here, because I think, I don't know about you guys, but I really like need friends. And I was like,
I need that social interaction.
I'm not speaking for every weeb, but I do need like to have friends that I like see often. Otherwise, like I really get like upset. Like,
you're like the antithesis of every weeb.
Yeah, like I need to socialize, or it really starts to take a toll on me. And I was just like, I really like worried that I wouldn't be able to, you know, have a good social circle or meet people. But, I mean, luckily that hasn't been the case. But
because I guess the big difference between you and me is that I've already, like, before Japan, I'd already lived in Thailand for a good 3 years. So I had experience moving to a different country and finding new friends. And to me, it was like, okay, I'm just starting the process all over again. And it's just a new adventure, I guess. So it was a lot easier for me to decide, hey, I'm gonna move to Japan. I guess the biggest thing that's, you know, made me think is that, do I really want to go through this process again? How long do I see myself actually living here? And to me, it was like, this is the last big move I'm gonna do before I kind of start to think about
that's crazy,
staying in one place instead of just flying to different countries every few months, which is what I was doing before.
I don't know how you were doing that for like it was because you were going from like Thailand to UK to America and then just
it was a constant. It was like I had 3 offices. I had one in Thailand, one in the UK, and one in America.
That's major entrepreneur moves right there, dude. I have 3 offices all over the world.
Look how many corner offices this man has.
It's like the traveling just gets to you, man. Because I remember, you know, when you're like at university, you're like, I just want to travel. I want to get out. I want to experience new things. But you do it every year for about a good 4 years, and it fucking gets to you. And
I think I'm definitely starting to phase out of that. Like, I love just any excuse to travel is great, because now I'm really starting to like detest some travel.
I remember like when traveling to anime cons was exciting, and now the thought of having to go on a plane to get somewhere, like that was to me it's a lot harder than it used to be.
I guess because it's just because how it's become, it's always a 10+ hour flight, and that's like the thing that is really draining. Oh my God, we must sound so God, I'm so annoyed we have to travel so much. It's
I hate it when these cons pay for our travel.
Right. But yeah, I mean, you know, I guess it happens, right, when you travel a shit ton. I'm sure anyone who has like parents or family friends who work, their whole business is to travel. It does become draining pretty quickly.
No, I mean, because it is a job at the end of the day. Because you know, it's people want to travel, but if you've ever had like a office job, which I did for the BBC, and you had to travel to Europe, you have to travel to these places, and it's just hours and hours of traveling for the job, it drains you. No
Yeah.
matter where you're traveling to, if you travel there enough, it'll eventually
Yeah, of
drain
course.
you. And it will,
There's a
'cause
massive difference between traveling for pleasure and traveling
yeah.
for
Yeah.
business. And
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like, it might not seem there's like a huge difference, especially to someone who doesn't travel a lot. But after a while, you're just like, oh man, I have to go
Yeah.
on this flight versus, yay, I get to go on this flight. You know?
I think the only time I'm like excited for a flight is when like Netflix drops like a whole show
Yeah.
that I'm like super hyped for. It's like,
Yeah.
sweet, I get 10 hours and no one bothered me.
Yeah.
I can watch this. Hell yeah. That's like the only time. But the worst is when you get to the app and you're like, fuck, I didn't download anything.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Oh god.
oh no. We have to pay for shitty Wi-Fi to scroll on Twitter for 12 hours.
Cool, I have to play this solitaire game for 10 hours that doesn't require any internet.
Yeah.
It's like when you sit down for a shit and you realize your phone's on 1% battery. And you're like, what do I do when this battery runs out?
So, go on.
Like another thing is like time differences and
Yeah, oh my
adjusting
God,
sleep
yeah.
schedule. I got a question for you because we went through the same kind of flights. How did you find the traveling to the Crunchyroll Anime Awards? Because to put things in perspective, we were there for like 1 day,
Yeah.
2 days,
Yeah.
right? And we had to travel. How long did you have to travel?
16-ish hours, I think it was, for the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. Yeah,
for me it
around
was
there.
21 hours of traveling.
Yeah, because you were in the UK at the time.
No,
right?
no,
No,
I was in
Thailand.
Thailand, which
Thailand,
is even
yeah.
worse. Yeah.
Jesus.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back. After that, I was like, right, you know, if I'm traveling too far, there's got to be something, man.
I think I remember hanging out with you after you came back from that, and you were still pissed off about like that you had to endure that. And I'm like, all right, well, you know.
I just want to say cheers, Crunchyroll, for not inviting me to that. You saved me a lot of trouble.
No, I mean it's a great experience.
It's a great
I'm glad that. I'm trying to be brand friendly here.
No.
Thank you, Brand.
Like, I'm not saying the experience was bad. The thing that was bad was me having to adjust immediately to like a 16-hour time difference, and then 2 days later have to adjust back and try
it's
to
not
be in a working state.
Not to
And-
mention, in between that, you have to go on stage in front of thousands of people
Yeah.
and be like, yeah, just nail this. Don't act like you're sleepy. at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
I mean,
No pressure.
it was fun overall. I like networking with people and like meeting other YouTubers you don't get to see often is pretty fun. But anyway, cycling back to the Japan stuff, when in your timeline did you get like, I guess, presented with the idea or the offer of moving? Like, when was that? Or do you remember the date-ish?
I can't remember the dates.
The exact time and location, like roughly.
When was it for you? Because if you
I know
remember-
that you knew you had like the offer had been presented itself to you before
Yeah.
me, and I think it must have been like in either like February, March-ish. This is like I remember it was like 3 or 4 months before AX. I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, when I remember it was like at least a year ago when I heard about it.
Yeah. So it was. I guess from the timeline where it came up to me knowing it was a possibility to me actually like finishing the move, it was probably like
Yeah.
like 7-8 months.
Oh yeah, it's been well over a year for me.
Yeah, because I knew that you knew before me.
So yeah, how it happened for me was I remember I was just sitting in a Bookwalker meeting and we were just talking about, I can't remember, some random stuff about what Bookwalker, wants to do in the future.
Yeah.
And then the person who I was talking to, which is, can I mention your name, Maylin? I'm not gonna throw you on the
I
bus.
will.
So Maylin, who is basically our manager,
Yeah.
all our managers now, she basically just asked me, have you ever thought about moving to Japan? And that was just kind of it just kind of came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I didn't know how to react to that. I was like, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not gonna say no.
Right.
But you know when you like ask the question,
And it's obviously for a purpose. Like
Yeah.
it's not a hypothetical.
yeah, and you're like, oh, this could actually be a thing.
Yeah.
And so I went away, I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, if I'm not gonna do it now, then when in my life am I gonna do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess the idea just grew from there, from what if like from it being a hypothetical question to what needs to happen to be able to bring an Anituber to Japan as a job.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that started my whole process. When did you hear about it?
Yeah, I think it must have been around March or February. I'm not 100% sure. I think I was on call with Maylene, and I think Maylene brought it up to me, and was basically the same thing, where it's like the hypothetical.
Do you like Japan?
yeah, something like that, right? And I think I was just like, oh wait, or maybe I was in Japan at the time. It was something, right? And it was a thing where it was like not concrete, and it was like, hey, think about it, like if you want to do it. And then I think 2 or 3 months later, it became a bit more serious of like, okay, do you want to do it? I think was that similar thing to you?
Yeah, exactly.
I think we had time to think about it, and then seriously they asked us.
Yeah, and it went from a hypothetical to, oh, this is actually happening. I'm moving to Japan, and this
because I don't think I ever spoke to you about your thoughts on it. I might have at the time, but I can't remember. But were you like from the first time you got heard or you were given the offer, were you gonna take it or?
Yeah, I think I was. I think I was always going to take it. I think because I'd wanted to move to Japan for a while, even if it was for a little bit.
Yeah.
Hadn't really put much thought into how long I wanted to stay here, but I was thinking, hey, you only get this chance once in your life. I wanna like, if I hated it, then great. At least I've done it, right?
Yeah.
But I was pretty concrete when I got the offer.
Yeah, that you can take it.
I was going to take it. What I was more worried about was how it was actually going to happen, or what the process.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff like that where I guess because we'd only interacted with Bookwalker through Maylene.
Yeah,
I think maybe we were a bit like skeptical about what goes on in the back end, right?
Yeah.
We were like, I don't know what's happening, right?
Yeah.
But they're great, by the way. They took care of us very nicely. And Maylene will kill me if I say otherwise. But
it's against their contract to say anything negative. But I think the huge advantage for at least you two was the fact that, and I know a lot of people who don't do this and definitely should, is that you guys visited Japan enough times to
twice.
sink. Well, I mean,
I was there for a while, but
I know a lot of stories of people who move here just thinking oh, Japan is this wonderful place, and nothing could go wrong, and everyone's so friendly, and then they move here and their expectations are just completely rejected.
There's a lot of stuff that's different between moving here and visiting and moving here, which we can get into later.
Yeah, because for me, I think it goes back to the mentality of I never felt like moving here, or I never thought I would want to move here because of the fact that I liked anime. I think that's the biggest thing. If you want to move to Japan just purely for anime, you're gonna have a bad time.
Throw away the weeaboo dream, guys. It's not real.
Honestly, there's probably worse reasons, but it's probably one of the worst ones.
Like for me, in terms of my exposure to anime, it hasn't actually increased too much compared to when I was living in Thailand, because there is a massive anime fandom in Thailand and just Asia in general.
Yeah.
So unlike there's a big difference between say England to Japan, but from Thailand to Japan, I still have to watch anime online subs because you can't watch it on TV because I don't understand it yet.
And even if you did, the schedule of airing is so
I'm not going to stay up till 3 a.m. to watch a Harry episode. It's just not worth it.
Exactly.
It kind of reminds me of old cartoons broadcast schedule, right? It's just all over the place, repeats constantly. It's weird. Yeah, anyway, I think when I was presented with the offer, I didn't initially I wasn't that keen on it. Mainly because I didn't really know anything. And when someone's like, hey, do you want to come here to this country? And it's like, okay, I mean, Japan's cool, but I literally don't. Yeah, I literally don't know anything.
Yeah.
I think over time, especially when I found out that you were going to go 100%, I think that was like, all right, well, at least I have, my boys here. So if I do get lonely, we good. But I mean, meeting friends wasn't a problem anyway, but I think
it is scary though.
It is.
The thought of it.
Yeah.
I think that's something I'll go into later with what I think is important when you move here. And then it just got to the point where I had nothing better going on. And people gave me so much shit for saying that in my video, by the way. I got
Oh really?
Yeah, I literally said in my video, I said I just had nothing better going on. That's why I moved here. And people think that I'm being nonchalant or joking. I didn't. When you're a YouTuber, you don't have anything to do other than YouTube and hang out with your friends and do whatever you need to do to be happy. But I literally had nothing better going on. So I'm in my head, there's no reason why I wouldn't take this, because it gives me a purpose to just better myself as a person. I get to learn new things, get to meet new people.
I mean, that's a huge reason why I moved as well, is because in Australia,
what were you doing?
Right. It's I had great friends, from uni and high school who I would hang out with every now and then, right?
Yeah.
And I had places to go to.
Yeah.
But it wasn't exciting anymore
No.
for me. Like it was just routine.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
that's how it
I
is.
hate getting into routine with anything, right? So I was like, yeah, I mean, you know, I haven't like, yes, I've spent half my life here, technically, but I haven't really like gone out to like fully explore the country. And even
Yeah.
4 years later, I'm nowhere near close to exploring this place.
Yeah.
Like there's so many more places I want to go to.
I still
Pretty
haven't
damn
left
big.
Tokyo. It's been like 8 months and I
okay,
haven't
boy.
left Tokyo.
I'm sorry,
I've-
it's, that road trip that we planned is happening. All right, once the Rona is gone, it's happening.
Okay.
I've left Tokyo once. But like, yeah, the decision to move to Japan, funnily enough, was probably the easiest part of the process.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
well, first of all, I mean, you're very lucky.
Yeah, you know, if you're half Japanese and have a Japanese passport, it's gonna be easy to move here.
Easy mode, baby.
For anyone else who's thinking about moving to Japan, whatever visa you're thinking about coming on, it is going to be
It's
a pain.
hell, yeah.
It's
And
tough.
this year from April this year, I believe they changed the rules to make visas more easier to get because they need more immigrants to work here because the population's getting older.
Right.
And they allocated 40,000 worker permits. And in the article, they only managed to allocate 4,000 this year of the 40,000.
What?
Of the, yeah.
Wait, it's
to workers,
40,000 like per year?
for some specific kind of like visa for this year, I think. or
Right,
something.
right.
And they only managed to do 1/10 of that, which is like not a problem because I don't think there's like, there's not demand to move here. This
Right.
is
Yeah.
probably one of the countries that I think people have most interest in moving to out of a lot of places.
Right.
yeah.
And it's just, I think that if anything says a lot about how difficult it is to move here.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
I mean, I can't speak on any other visa processes, but you know.
Everyone I've talked to has had like a difficult process, unless you're just coming here for a tourist visa.
Super easy.
Super easy.
Just
Or-
walk
or
in.
if,
Literally
you know,
just walk.
or-
Just turn up.
Yeah.
Or if you're one of those countries that has working holiday visa.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately America does not. So
Yeah,
sorry.
like
Americans.
if you want advice on how to move here easily, get a working holiday visa.
Yeah.
It's probably
I
going to
think,
be
I think those last a
180, right?
year and a half.
yeah,
Is it a year and a half?
I think it depends on the country. At least Australians have a year and a half.
Wow.
right.
I don't know about UK. Maybe UK has like
Yeah.
6 months to a year, maybe. Depends, but
Yeah,
There's a lot of paperwork we had to fill out.
yeah.
Remember that.
And so I think the hardest part of the process was finding an apartment.
Oh my god.
Oh my god!
I mean, I'm a Japanese citizen and it was still a pain in the ass
Yeah.
for me to do it.
You hear about on YouTube and Twitter and everything like it's hard, and then you see some people saying like, yeah, people are over exaggerating. It is
No, it's hard.
100% hard.
Fucking difficult.
Especially if you're a foreigner as well. You basically play under different rules.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
sad to say. Like I, you know, in the UK, I think if you have money, you get an apartment.
I think more
Like,
importantly, especially if you're a YouTuber,
oh my god.
because
Oh, God.
because the hardest thing, at least in Japan, from my experience about why it's so hard to get a fucking apartment here, is because freelancing is not a job here.
Yeah.
Freelancing, you might as well be unemployed, according to
And-
this government's like.
The government's like that typical Asian parent.
Yeah.
It's like, what? You're not a doctor or an
Yeah.
engineer or a lawyer?
It's like,
Get
no,
outta
yeah,
here.
you're unemployed, right? Yeah, you're working part time.
And that's due to because they're worried about if you can pay all the rent and what.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they don't even like, you know, at least in like, I don't know about the UK or Thailand, but
Yeah.
at least in Australia, when you sign up for like an apartment, right? Usually the landlord will be like, okay, can I see your bank account?
Yeah.
Like just to see how much money you have saved up, you know,
Yeah.
regardless of what job you do. We just want to see that you have, you know, money in
Yeah.
the bank. And if you do, then you're like, okay. But here in Japan, they don't check your bank. They check your work status to make sure that there's like a constant flow of money coming
Yeah.
in.
And it's not just that as well, because if you're not Japanese, and especially if you can't speak Japanese, most places aren't even going to talk to you or consider you. Because
Right.
that was a
Yeah.
big problem we had.
Yeah.
Because we went through like an agency and we just made a list of about 10 to 20 apartments that we were interested in. And we sent it off and applied.
Rejected from all of them.
Rejected from all of them. Jesus
Christ.
And we had a company as a guarantor.
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
having the like payments secured wasn't the issue. It was
Yeah.
like a lot of the time it was really dumb stuff. Like,
Yeah.
can you sort the bins properly and like stuff like
It's
that?
like,
which
yes,
is like
we're not 12-year-olds.
It's like the main concern you'll hear all the time is can you sort your trash properly? And it's like, okay, it might be different from where I'm from, but like
I can learn.
yeah, it's like the government councils in the area give you an English manual that tells you how to do it. Like, it is tedious and it is a lot more complex in most places, but it's not like...
It's not rocket science.
Yeah,
like,
it's not like you're having to do like the weirdest stuff imaginable to this stuff. Like, it's basically just rinse your stuff, separate all of it. That's pretty much it. And I know there's some places in Europe that do it way more thorough that probably don't have this concern when they're letting people rent houses. It's just like...
Because it's the least of your concerns. It's, you know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the thing is that if you go through an agency, for example, that specializes in foreigners and people who can't speak Japanese, you're going to be paying so much more.
Yeah, you pay a premium for that ability.
You pay like a premium for that bill and that rent. So it's you either have a fucking difficult time finding a place and getting past all the barriers, or you're just going to pay a shit ton of money. And those aren't two very good options.
Yeah. The only concern that they often cite, like building managers, etc., that I find is like somewhat, all right, that's fair enough, is that they're worried that you'll run away.
Yeah.
But run away and not pay the rent. But if you have a guarantor, that's the whole fucking point of that problem, which we did.
You can't run away.
Yeah, if we run away, you're still getting your money. Like, and the house is vacant. Great, no damage to it. Like, this is a win-win for the company. I don't understand. Like, you play by their rules in every way.
It's because it's just like typical, like, this is like one aspect of like Japanese, I guess,
definitely
like,
one of the
work
worst,
culture that I learned very quickly. It's that like, it doesn't matter what the business is. If they're not 100 million% sure that this is going to go through, it might as well be 0%.
Risk. Yeah, they don't do risk.
There's no risk in any business venture, whether that be paying for rent or like anything. It's like if they're not 100 million% sure in every possible avenue ever, it's just not happening. And you know, it's ridiculous.
I think that'd be interesting to talk about later on when we get to more of like the stuff that we've experienced here. But like, was there any part of the visa process applying for it? 'Cause I'm sure people are wondering. I got a lot of emails, I'm sure you did as well, of people asking, hey, how did you get a visa? Like, was it hard, etc., etc.
Yeah.
If there's any advice you can give someone who's watching who wants to come to Japan, what would you say is like the main piece of advice if they want to get a working visa?
I mean, I didn't apply for a working visa. But so I don't have too much experience.
We didn't apply for it. We had immigration lawyers help us.
Yeah, we had immigration lawyers help us. But I mean, I've applied for visas before, and the most painful part is just waiting. It's
and you're going to be waiting a lot.
You're going to be waiting a long time, and you're just going to be in this limbo kind of.
Because we had it was like the initial thing where they file for something called a certificate of eligibility, which is basically if the government decides if you can have a visa, which isn't the visa itself, which already sounds to me like that sounds like we're adding steps where steps don't need to be. But as you move to Japan, you'll learn that's what they love to do. So we had to wait, what was it, 6 weeks for that? 6 to 8 weeks?
Yeah,
it could have been 6 to 8 weeks for this piece of paper to arrive, which then they send by post, which makes you feel so uneasy because you're like, they're sending me a piece of paper through the mail that I've waited 2 months for, and you're just like, something's going to go wrong, someone's going to take it. So you get this piece of paper, right? To get this thing, you need to prove that you have a good reason to work in Japan, that the job or you have to say what your work is. They need to check that you are actually like in that field, etc., etc.
Yeah, we had to send so much evidence that we were doing valuable work that could,
which I'm sure some people would argue YouTube isn't, but at the end of the day, if we bring in money to the government and pay taxes, it's valuable work, right?
Basically just how many companies we've worked with, what work that's notable, that
and why we need to be in Japan.
What it felt like was I was applying for a job. It was like, here's all my achievements. Here's what I can bring for your country. Please,
let me play on your team, coach. Come on, let me. And then so we get that certificate of eligibility, which is we get that, and then you have to go to the embassy
to turn that into a visa, and then they'll put a visa into your passport.
Again, there's more steps because first of all, if you live in the UK, the only embassy is in London. Now, I would feel bad for someone who lives in the north of Scotland. I don't think they have an embassy in Scotland.
No.
And in Wales, I had to go all the way from Wales. Luckily, there's fast train, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But point is, one embassy, so you're going to be taking a day trip to get this thing.
Yeah.
Worst part is that then if you go to the embassy, which you might have to have traveled cross country for, you have to wait 5 days to then actually get the visa, which is a little thing they just print out and staple in your passport.
So you have to go back to the embassy.
You have to go back, right?
Yeah.
So I just went home because I'm like, I'm not staying in London for 5 days.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, if you're poor, you know, you haven't got much money and you can't, you know, the train tickets in the UK are expensive, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things where it's just like, my God, why are we doing this?
But then again, like realistically, how many people in like the buttfuck middle of Scotland is going
I'm
to
sure there's,
apply for
I'm
a
sure there's,
visa?
I bet there's one person from like the North Island and like Scotland who's like, dude, I had to fly. Fuck that shit.
If you are that one person watching, subscribe.
And to make matters even more stressful, you lost your passport.
I did.
You lost your
I lost
This we were meeting up at the embassy to collect our visas.
Yeah.
And this motherfucker
I lost my passport.
lost his passport.
When I heard that story, I couldn't fucking believe it.
Oh my God, that was like one of the worst days
Like
of
you
my
can't
life.
write that shit. Like,
No, it was horrible.
all because you didn't have a fucking backpack.
I carry my passport in my jeans pocket, which I'm hearing people are like, oh my God.
Oh my
I'm
god! I'm
Worst idea.
I'm like cringing hearing that, man. I'm like,
So I've traveled like all over the world, just having my passport in my. Okay, I have lost it before, and you guys know I have. I lost it in America as well. I found it though, luckily. But anyway, so I was going to the train station to pick up, go to the train, go to London.
Yeah.
And as my train arrived, I'm like, I always tap my pockets, right, just to make sure
Yeah.
it's there. I tap my pockets. It's not in there. It's not in there. And I'm like, fuck. And what's running through my head is like all of this like months of work. I feel bad for the company. They paid for lawyers. Like
Yeah.
all these people who have like banked on me coming, and I've put so much work into this myself and other people. And I was like having a mental breakdown. I don't think I've ever like had that much of a like quick mental breakdown in my life.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I
it's to be
Yeah.
expected.
Yeah.
and it was like gradually getting worse. And like the hour I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
I scoured this train station, a tiny train station in Wales. It's called like Flint. You can look it up on. It's literally just like a platform.
Right.
There's nowhere this should have gone where I couldn't have found it. Right.
Yeah.
Could not find it.
Yeah.
Checked my car. Quickly drove home to find it. Didn't find it. Came back to check again. Couldn't find it. Going to the police station. Literally everything. I could not find.
You
my
have no
passport.
idea what happened.
I have no idea what happened to my passport. And then eventually it was getting like 4 p.m. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just call up the British government and tell them, hey, can you just cancel my passport? I want to apply for another one. And that whole thing was an ordeal. And then my main concern was like, all right, well, I lost my passport. Do I have to restart the whole visa process again?
Yeah.
Luckily, the embassy were like, no, as long as you have like the certificate, which I didn't lose. Great. I could redo it. So
lucky fucker.
I had to scramble to get a new passport, and that was a whole thing. And I got one within like 5 days, luckily. And luckily, it all went well. But
Yeah.
like, it was just so stressful. On top of
Jesus.
like already the stress that I was already at my limit with stress that whole period because of this whole thing.
Yeah.
And that was just like the full like I had a full breakdown that day. That was horrible. And I think I like joked about it on Twitter, but like I was like not okay that day.
Oh yeah.
No.
And the worst part is, right, is when you fuck up this badly, you can accept that you fucked up, but it's messaging your friends being like, hey, I'm not going to be in London in like 2 hours. They're like, oh, why? What's up? I'm like, I lost my passport.
No, because I remember reading that text. Because I was waiting for you outside the embassy when you were like, I get a message from Connor being like, I'm gonna be a bit like 30 minutes late.
Little did I know.
I was like, oh, all right, I'll get a coffee. And I see the event unfold as he's just texting me. So he goes, yeah, I can't find my passport. I'm just gonna go look for it quickly. And then it's just you like just breaking down every message, and it just ends with, I don't think I can come.
And I'm still annoyed to this day because I went around. This is a very small town where I lost it. I went around like every shop in that area. I asked literally everyone in that area, hey, if you find this passport, can you call me right away? Because if not, I'm going to just cancel it today. I still never heard anything.
Yeah.
I was crazy and I don't know how I lost it.
So, like, from your experience,
Yeah.
for anyone who's listening, if there's anything they need to know to make the process easier, what would you guys say?
Get a degree.
Yeah, a degree helps a lot,
Yeah.
especially if it's, like...
Not an associate's, like a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, I think a lot of their forms didn't recognize associates. I think it actually said, like, specified, like,
I
bachelor's.
don't think associates is a thing in Japan.
It's not a thing in the UK, I don't think.
Right?
Yeah,
it's not a thing in Japan, right? I mean, it is a thing, but like it's not like as heavily emphasized on as a bachelor's degree.
I saw a lot of people like asking like, oh, how did we get it, etc. Like you need to like have, especially with a country this strict, you need to have like concrete proof that like you can do something here. Like you can't just come here on a whim.
That you're worth something.
Unless you're like extremely rich and they want your tax money. Like I think that the only other reason, like you need some like
even
good
then
reason.
you need a degree for something.
Yeah.
Right?
They'll find a way to like.
Yeah, because then they'll be like, where are you getting this money from, bro?
Yeah.
And I imagine just having like a fair amount of experience in what you're doing and the reason you're coming here will help a ton. I mean, I can't talk about most, just what we went through.
Or basically just come here to teach English.
That is like the instant like get in button. Like,
yeah, pretty much. It's like I can speak English and I can teach it somewhat. Then you're like, you're hired.
It's probably like not a bad way to if your goal ultimately is living in Japan forever. It's probably not a bad way to like transition into living here.
No, because
like,
I know a lot of friends personally who did start off with teaching English and then gradually moved on to something else.
Because like you can gain by teaching English, you can gain connections in the country.
Yeah.
And then maybe that transitions to like a normal office job or something like that, or someone working with a company, you know. But if you just want to get your foot through the door, I think teaching English would be the easiest way for anyone to be able to do it. But you still need a degree.
Yeah, either way, you need a degree.
But they pretty much accept everyone on that, as far as I'm aware. As long as you, again, if you have a degree.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how good your high school essays were. If you don't have a degree in that, like,
Which is why I'm so glad to drop out of university.
Listen to your Asian parents. Go to uni if you want to go to Japan.
You guys have all got degrees, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Engineering, baby. Let's go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, engineering.
I never actually have known what degree. You have an engineering degree, right?
I have an.
Yeah, he has electrical engineering. I have mechanical engeneering.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But he has a master's. I have a bachelor's.
Got a fucking master's, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Look at this boy spending more than 4 years at uni. What a loser.
I got to the third year. I was like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do this.
Yeah, I was like, have I got the required minimum? Yeah, get me out of here. I don't want to be here for another year, dude.
So like, now that you guys have moved to Japan, what would you say are the pros and cons of actually living here?
I mean, I want to know from you guys, right? Because I mean, I've experienced Japan pretty much for half my life, so I know. Like, to me, the pros and cons are just very natural to me.
And I feel like most of the cons that me and God might have, you won't ever experience because one, you can speak the language and read it fluently.
Yeah,
and
I don't know, man.
There's some though.
I have the face of a foreigner.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I'm just gonna say it. There's a lot of discrimination here. But
I mean, what country doesn't?
I would say I like understand it more because growing up in an Asian country, there's definitely discrimination in Asia. It's just very different from what you see in the West, I think.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's not racism. It's more xenophobia.
Yeah.
Right? And if you guys don't know the difference between that, like racism is where it's like, oh, you're a different race to me.
Yeah.
So therefore you are worse than me. And xenophobia is like, oh, you're not from here.
Yeah.
Therefore you're
I think it comes more from a place of ignorance.
It's just ignorance, I think.
Than anything, because it's just, because you guys didn't open the country for
I mean,
like
Japan
ages.
has been a closed island for like the past 2,000 years, right? So it's like, what do you expect?
Exactly. So it makes sense to me. But like, for example, finding an apartment, that was my first experience with that, where if you're not Japanese and if you didn't speak Japanese, then they were very like scared to even touch you, or even consider you, or in that case.
Especially when you have a company backing you. In my mind, I was like, I don't see what the problem is here. Like, I'm like the model tenant here. I'm single. I don't do anything.
The problem is we can't write your name in kanji.
Yeah, right.
That's the problem.
Katakana name, ew, gross.
But I mean, I have that problem too, because like, even though I am Japanese and I have a Japanese name, the fact that I don't look it is already a huge like wall that regular Japanese people find a difficulty in getting over, because like, it's really funny as well, because like during my intern days as well, like I had to be like the guy to like, if there was like a business partner coming to the office, I had to be the one to like get on the phone with them and being like, okay, you guys are coming at this time and this day. Okay, I'll come down to like meet you guys and greet you up to the office.
Yeah.
But when I speak Japanese, I don't have an accent. And my name is Japanese. So there were so many times where I would go down to greet them and they'd be like, who the fuck is this guy? It's like, you're not the person on the phone, right? And I was like, yeah, I am. And it's like, oh, we thought you were Japanese. And I'm like, I am Japanese. And they're like, and it's just to so many of like the older generation, especially, they just can't fathom that there are these things called hafus.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing. It's like you're either Japanese or you're not Japanese.
Yeah. Because the way I treat it is that I treat it like exactly the same how I would treat my grandmother or like my granddad who lived in Thailand in this small village their entire fucking life, knew nothing about the outside world. So they just didn't know, you know. It's the same way with a lot of Japanese people, where some of them, especially like older people, have never interacted with a foreigner or even like got to know them or even knows what the outside world is like beyond what they see on the news and what they see on TV, you know what I mean?
And you don't want to like input anything from Japanese TV.
No, like you don't.
My God, some of the stuff they air is like...
We're called Trash Taste Podcast. Like, if there's anything trashier than Trash Taste Podcast, it is fucking Japanese TV. Like, it is full of absolute garbage.
Yeah.
It's something I wish that like a lot of YouTubers whose channel is focused all about Japan would like speak about a little more, because it's not like something you can ignore. Like if you're foreign or even look foreign and live here, you're gonna experience it like totally. And I didn't know anything about this because no YouTubers talk about it or anything. And I feel like it's such an important like topic, especially when you talk about living in Japan. It's gonna be a factor. Like you're gonna be stared at, and it's not like you've said, like it's not a place of like hatred or anything. It's just like they don't see those kind of people a lot.
I think the problem with a lot of like J vloggers that do cover topics like that, because I like when you live here, you pretty much get to know every J vlogger. It's just natural. It's such a small community. So I know pretty much every like notable J vlogger here. And there's been a number of them that I know that have made topics on like the blatant xenophobia here in Japan. But the problem is, I think a lot of those videos aren't taken seriously by the internet because it's seen as like a privileged problem. It's like you get to live in Japan, you know, so therefore you should just be able to put up with this shit, right? Because you get to experience all this other cool stuff when, you know, that's not the point of the video, right? Like it's still a problem, regardless of how privileged you may seem living here.
Like, I think the worst thing that happened to me was one time we got the police called on us. And
do you want to explain why we got the police call? We didn't do anything illegal. We just play Mario Party really loud.
At like 2 a.m. Very drunk.
That was our bad. You know, we can't really complain about that. Okay. So basically we got a noise complaint. So the policeman came and he basically asked Joey, you know, who is he with?
Yeah.
And I remember you saying like, oh, there's, you know, one American, one, you know, British person, and then there was me who I'm Thai. So he mentioned that I'm with a Thai friend. And as soon as he mentioned that he was with a Thai friend, the policeman was like, "Oh,
can we see your Thai friend?
Can we see your Thai friend?" And I go up there, and I start getting grilled about why I'm here. They want to see my passport and everything, and they're asking me about my visa.
But you showed them your British passport.
And no. As soon as I was like, "Oh, I have a British passport," though, they were like, "Okay, you're free to go."
It was so messed up,
and I was like, "Oh." What the fuck just happened? What was that?
It was so messed up. Like, and the fact that they like only called you, up there, even though there was like it was like the most multi like cultural room in probably the entire apartment building.
I'm gonna say it now. I wasn't making the noise.
You were like the quietest one there, if anything. And it's just that was the first time I like ever experienced that too. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ! Like they can't even be like subtle about it.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you do know, like, this is like not cool, right? Like, but to them, it's just, you know.
I think you just, I don't know. I know I get stared at a lot, which is weird for me because obviously coming from like the whitest place on earth, I was just like another, you know, just another like person, and I've never experienced this in my life. Which I guess is also strange, and also like. This is gonna sound so odd, but in Japan, not exactly known for the best like legal system, if you will. Normally, if you're like arrested or whatever, or convicted, charged with a crime, you normally get like, it's like a 98, 99% conviction rate.
I don't know where this is going, but
Right. But also, like, this is the first time I've ever been like around police where I'm like, shit, please don't stop me. Please don't stop me. Like, I guess this is like Connor checking his white privilege for the first time ever. But like, because if the police stop me, right, I can't explain to them why I might, like, I don't know what I might do that's wrong. You know what I mean?
Right,
I don't want to get fucking arrested because, like, how do I get myself out of that hole?
right.
And yeah, it's just a weird experience for me that I've never felt before. And I'm sure people are like, wow, Connor, really see it as white privilege for the first time ever in his life. But it's weird. It's weird though, right? Because that's like stuff that I never considered I'd have to like worry about ever.
Right. You have to like kind of experience it, unfortunately, like firsthand to like
Yeah.
fully understand it, right? And that's the problem, is that there are so many like, I guess, you know, controversial topics like that concerning being a foreigner living in Japan that I'm sure a lot of J-vloggers want to talk about, but because from the position that they're talking about it from, it's very difficult to make it.
Can't just bring it up like, oh, they hate Chinese people, you know,
right?
it's
Because
like-
because it's like, it's also like for someone for a foreigner who's never lived in Japan, it's very hard to like swallow and understand being like, no, that doesn't happen, right? That must be just you. Whereas it's very much a common occurrence for any like foreigner who lives here, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it's just a thing where you move here and you realize there's
pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly
Yeah.
that it's, you know, it works differently and people view you differently as well. But I think to me that is, you know, the worst experience I've had about moving to Japan. Apart from, okay, can we talk about how slow Japanese businesses work?
Yeah.
My fucking god. Everyone has this image that Japan's this like super
Optimized place, like the most optimized system on earth.
Yeah.
Dude. They figured it out, dude.
Speed running business.
like things just work. You go to a restaurant, you press a button on a tablet, and the food just appears in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, this is the future. And then you go to a Japanese business and you're like, oh, is that a fax machine? are you using a fax machine right now?
Or just like stuff you never even considered like a problem, or like asking for permission for like the slightest thing on earth. Like, it's just like you show a logo or something in a video, we gotta find permission to do that. It's like, just fucking upload it. If it's a problem, they'll tell us, you know.
See, but like that's the thing, right? Is that Japan doesn't understand what. Well, no risk as well, but at least with like what we do business wise, Japan doesn't have fair use.
No, yeah. I know.
So it's so difficult to get permission for any, like if you ask like as you said, it's like, can I just show this logo of your company that is like publicly available to anybody?
Yeah.
Just like slap it on for like 2 seconds. I'm not even gonna like mention your name. Just slap it on. It has to go through like 100 layers of the company just to get a simple yes. And that could take like a couple of days if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Usually a week to maybe a month. Yeah. And it's just like,
it's a business model where there's like, imagine if every employee was a boss and everyone had to ask for permission constantly. It's like employees can't make their own decisions. They have to ask their boss, who then asks their boss and their boss. And that takes a week. And that's just to see if you can sharpen your pencil, right? Like, we haven't even got to business yet. Like, we're just trying to figure out what the fuck's happening.
It's not even just business. It's just signing up for
Everything.
It's everything.
Everything.
Everything moves so slowly. Like, I remember when we sign up for our gym membership.
Oh my God.
It took us an hour, right?
Hour and a half, I think.
An hour and a half to sign up for to get a gym card, right? Because you know in America, or like basically everywhere where you get the terms and conditions, right? Fucking scroll through, you click accept. No, in Japan, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna read every fucking term, and you're gonna agree to every fucking term individually, and they're gonna sit there with you to make sure you read it all.
you not only are subject to going through the fine print, which is no longer fine, it's just print. Like, but they're like, let me read it out for you. In case you're a fucking illiterate piece of shit. It's like, no. See, that's why, like, when I signed up for the gym membership, because it's all written in Japanese, right? I straight up just said, like, I can read it. I saved myself, like, an hour of pain of just, like, listening to this, like, fucking hour-long monologue from this, like...
I think that's because we're foreign. He was like, he really, really wanted to make sure we understood. And bear in mind, these weren't terms and like conditions. It were like any like social things. It was like literally the bare bones of what a gym needs to make sure you know. Like, like, you know, don't run on the treadmill if you know your legs don't work, right? Like, just stuff like don't sue us stuff, right? Stuff you wouldn't take for granted. And I remember he was like asking us, our translator, like if we understood every single point. I remember one of them was like, do you understand that on the treadmill, you have to have your hands on the treadmill at all times? And I looked at like our friend Nabby, I was like, is he serious? It's not a joke, right? He wants me to
he
agree.
legally has to say
I have
that.
to agree that I'm gonna put my hands on. Have you ever seen anyone but a crippled old man run on the treadmill?
Oh yes, because that's how I run, just like free hands.
Right.
Like,
no one does that. And you literally you're signing this agreement and you turn your head to see 10 people on the treadmill, none of them holding their hands, and you're like, yes, I agree. And it's all bullshit. That's all you do. And this is the stuff that you never experience as a tourist, because it's perfectly separated, the stuff that you experience as a tourist to the stuff you experience living here. And the moment you do something that is remotely permanent or reoccurring in a contract, you better be ready to bring every document that you've ever had in your life and a Hanko, which you'll lose a lot.
I'm surprised they didn't ask for a fucking birth certificate when signing up for the gym, because it's so formal with everything. It's like, you don't need to know my life story.
That's the perfect word. Everything in Japan is so formal, and you don't see it as a tourist, because everything, when you're in Japan on tourism and you're just sightseeing, everything just works, right? You go to a restaurant, it just works. Living here, all the little intricacies and all the little things you take for granted that should be quick just takes a million processes when it's just the most unoptimized thing in the world. And there's just a lot of things that don't make sense, in contracts. Going back to paying rent, there's this thing called a key fee. What was it? What's the technical term?
Obnoxious. It's it's key money, right?
Key money.
And I mean, you can explain it if you want. Go ahead. But it's
okay.
the most obnoxious thing.
What can I explain?
It's 2 months of rent. Sometimes can be one.
So the amount is about 2 months of rent that you pay to the rent owner to say thank you for renting me your place
for free. You don't get you don't get it back. This money is literally
it's not a deposit. You just pay 2 months of rent.
Which you also have to pay a deposit. And then
on top of the deposit that you have to pay.
It's basically a dick sucking fee. That's what it is. It's thank you so much for letting me stay in your apartment. That's what it is.
And then it doesn't end there, because you then have to pay the rental, the agency that got you the house. You have to pay a month's rent to them as a fee, which is just stupid, because I think in every other country, they take their split from the person renting the house.
Right.
Not from you, because renting a house you shouldn't have to pay 6 to 8 months up front. That's ridiculous. And I think it's the reason why a lot of homeless people here also struggle to get houses, because how the fuck are you going to get 6 months worth of rent and money? Are you kidding me? That's insane.
You expect when you look at the rent, you expect okay, this is how much I'm going to pay for the first month.
I pay a deposit.
You pay
maybe 2 months.
Maybe a month or two deposit.
But
exactly. No, it's double or triple that, and I'm just Jesus Christ,
it's ridiculous.
Stupid.
It's 6 months worth of rent in one sitting, and you're not gonna get 2 months of that back at all,
because they want you to stay in that apartment. They don't want you to leave. And I like going around. I like moving, getting a new place, seeing how things are, knowing what I like and don't like. But now it's pretty much just solidified that I'm not leaving this, because I'm gonna get charged out the ass if I want to move.
Because it's a minimum of 2 years to stay in one place.
2 years. And even then, if you're moving, the amount that you paid in that first month, that if you split that across 2 years of rent, you'd be way overpaying for what you got.
I think that's why, that's one thing, right, about living in Japan that I've personally have never understood for the longest time, but I think finally now I do understand, is when people say man, Japan is such an expensive place. But when you think about it, it's no, it's because when I think Japan is such an expensive place, I think
eating out, drinking.
Drinking, and I'm no, it's relatively cheap. But then you think about
all the bills,
6 months worth of rent in the first month, kind of bullshit. And I'm okay, maybe it is a little bit ridiculous and expensive.
I mean, you can live frugally here. It's not too hard to live frugally.
Yeah, you can live cheap. It's not a problem. I mean, konbinis you can live off.
Oh my god.
We could do a whole episode.
That's basically the best thing about Japan, right? No matter where you are in with 100-meter radius of everything you need. No question.
Japan is the only country where the word convenience store actually lives up to its name.
Yeah,
because it is actually one of the most convenient places that you could.
God, I love konbini so fucking much,
it's
man.
like not even the food. Like, the food's amazing. Like, you expect this. Like, if you go to a gas station in any country in the world, and you try and convince me to buy something that's been cooked in that building, I would rather like just get salmonella. Like, I'm not going to risk seeing what they give me. You know what I mean? Like those nasty hot dogs that have been on rotation for like 20 hours at least. But the one thing that like I thought was just like the most genius thing that Japan does, which I do not understand why every other country doesn't do this, is the fact that they just have like a printing machine in there. So no one needs to buy a printer or buy ink. You can just go to this place that's probably within like, 100 meters of you, 200 meters at most.
Max.
Yeah. You pay like 10 cents or whatever, and you can get a printed A4 copy of whatever you want. Because no one needs to print that much shit, right? No, I've never needed to print more than like one document a month. Expensive. Right? And it dries as well. So you might print one thing, it's gone dry. And I feel so bad for admitting that I've done this. But in the UK, in university, when we had to have a printer and I was printing a lot of documents, I used to like, the ink was more expensive to buy on its own than just buying a new printer. So every time I ran out of ink, I bought a new printer.
Are you serious?
That's like 200 IQ move though.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because bear in mind, right, this is the time when you're university, right, where losing 20 pounds, which is like $30 at the time, it was like a big deal, right? Like you don't get any money. I can't afford to lose $30.
That's like 10 instant ramens, dude.
Right, right. That's like 2 nights out if I'm good, right? Like, so I would go to like the charity shop and just like give it to them, and every single like month on cue I'd come in with a printer and just the exact same Amazon Basics printer and give it. And I just thought like I can appreciate this so much now that in Japan, if you want to print anything, you don't have to buy a printer. You don't have to fuck around worrying about which ink cartridge matches with your printer. You just go to the convenience store and you print it off, and it's just like it makes sense.
And the best thing is that like if you do need to like print out like a document or anything, you can just be like, oh, I can do that, but I can also buy like a drink. Or, I can stock up my fridge. It's all there.
I can pay my bills. You can pay your bills.
You can pay your bills
at the convenience store. Yeah,
that's wild to me.
It's insane.
I don't anymore because that just takes time. But I did it.
You just do direct.
It was a novelty at first.
Yeah, because I think the best and worst part of Japan to me is that it's like a dichotomy. It either works exceedingly well,
like too
it's exceedingly optimized, or it's just 100 processes to do the simplest shit. It's there's no middle ground. Nothing here works okay. It either works exceedingly well or it just doesn't work at all.
I think it's normally like a public demand, right? Convenience stores, trains, everyone is using them 24/7. We want this easy as possible. Izakaya, all that. It all works flawlessly. I think where it comes into play mostly is with like government agencies, like big companies that have higher ups that don't want to change things very fastly. And if you thought like companies in the West don't want to change things, my God, you are in for like a surprise.
Most Japanese companies haven't changed since like the 70s.
Because not only do they not want to change things, even if the person before them dies, they're like, well, they didn't want to change it. And I really don't want to like, step on their toes, even though they don't exist anymore. It's like, we got to keep everything the same way it was. It's been working.
That's the problem though, is that Japan has such a double-edged sword in terms of like maintaining culture.
Yeah, it works in great ways.
Because maintaining tradition is what I was looking for.
It's very traditional in a lot of ways. Like, man, look, I'm looking at Japanese web design.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, man.
I take it for granted how good we had it. Like, I didn't realize that I cared about user interface.
When I was interning, I was in the web division department because that's what I majored in at uni, right? So I had to like go around fixing basically like clients' like old websites. And like anybody who like ever did anything like HTML or CSS related can relate to this, but like I almost had a stroke when I looked at the source code and I saw a table. And I'm like, that's something we haven't used since like the early 90s. Like, no, this is like early 90s type of web design, and they're still using it to this day.
I don't think I've seen a single animation on a web page in Japan.
No.
There's no graphics at all. It literally looks like the first like Windows iteration. Like, it just looks tragic.
So fucking cluttered.
Weirdly enough, the best web design I have seen is like landing pages for new anime.
That's it.
That's the only good websites that I've seen. I'm like, damn, they use JavaScript for this shit. Jesus.
Before we move on to the logistics, I want to talk about staying to the pros. How good the fucking food is.
Oh my God.
Moving here from England.
Oh my God.
Where good food is you either have to pay a lot or you have to cook it yourself. is everything here tastes good. It's just true, right? You never have a bad experience in Japan with food. I swear to God.
That's like the difference that I tell my parents the most. I'm like, in the UK, I don't know about Australia, but when you go to the restaurant, it's not a gamble. But it kind of is. It's like you don't know if it's going to be okay or amazing. Like, and it's always a coin flip. You just don't know, and you have to go to find out.
Oh no, that's 100% how it works in Australia,
right? Because there might just be a restaurant owned by a guy who has no idea what he's doing, doesn't give a shit about the food. But in Japan, it is like guaranteed. No matter where you go, you will get good food. You are like never like. You never overcharged either. Like you always like pay a fair amount.
And when you are overcharged, it is like the taste and experience is worth it.
Exactly.
I remember saying very harsh words to my mum when she used to just, I'm like, how dare you give me this bland food all my life when this stuff existed? How many times must I have beans and toast, mother? How many times can a man eat beans and toast? I actually still like beans and toast.
when the kombini food here is better than a lot of the restaurant food you can find in British restaurants I go to, I'm like, man, there's something wrong here. There's something wrong here, man.
See, that's the insane thing is that I don't know if Japan's the only country that's like this, but it's cheaper to eat out than it is to cook your own food.
It's the same thing in Thailand.
I think a lot of the Asian countries are like that.
Okay. Because at least in Australia, like, Jesus Christ, no one goes to restaurants because it's like, I don't want to gamble if this $25 pasta is going to be good or not. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not that rich. I'd rather just go to a supermarket and just cook a $5 pasta
I'm here in Japan, and to get like a single lime, I pay $2. $2 for a single fucking lime.
That's something I wish. I don't think anyone's mentioned that on YouTube. People don't tell you how expensive it is to cook here. I don't know if this is just like maybe in America it's different. We're not from America, and I know the prices for fresh food in America is like ridiculous. But in the UK, I don't know about Australia. In the UK, like buying ingredients is so incredibly cheap. Which is why nobody eating out is not so much you do it for the food. It's more of like an experience with your friends.
Exactly.
It's for an event, right?
It's a luxury,
You don't do it because like, you have the money. It's like you do it for a reason. And you like, if you speak to someone in the UK, and I know that if you say like you eat out every day in the UK, everyone's like, what the fuck's wrong?
Yeah, because in the UK, you don't eat out alone. Right? It's very rare to do something like eating out alone. In here, more people eat out alone than cook, because it's just more convenient and it's cheaper as well. Because my God, vegetables here, meats are okay, but vegetables are so expensive, and
I don't know why. Like, and the biggest offender in my mind, lime's terrible. Peppers, like normal bell peppers. In the UK, I distinctly remember in like Aldi or even like Tesco, it's like £1.29, right, for a pack of 3 bell peppers, right? That's like what, $1.60. In Japan, for like a single bell pepper, which comes with its own packaging, it's like 180 yen. So if you want to have 3 bell peppers,
so that's $2.
That's like $6 for 3 bell peppers. Are you fucking kidding?
Can we talk about the biggest offender though, which is fruits?
Oh my god.
Fruits?
Okay, they're good. They're good. First of all, they're good.
Amazing.
They're good.
But Jesus, talk about overpriced. I know, there are like Japan has this like weird obsession when it comes to fruits, where it's like, it's from this.
You gotta massage it.
No. It's not even that. It's like, it's from this specific prefecture that specializes in that fruit. Therefore, if you want to buy an apple from like Aomori Prefecture, which is like known for the apples, it's like, a regular apple. Like, I don't know about the UK, but at least in Australia, it's like if you want like a freshly grown, like,
we don't fucking know where apples come from.
Good quality, like, homegrown apple, right? Like the most you'd pay is maybe like $1. Right?
I've never paid more than 50 cents for an apple.
No.
I think I'd be shocked if I paid more than like 30
pence. Whereas here, if you want like a specialized branded apple, which is like the only kind of apples they have here for some reason, it's like, 600 yen, please.
Because there's no cheap brand here. It's every brand has a certain story, and it's like that. It's like, when you have Asian grandparents or something, everything they feed you has health benefits or something. They feed you like this vegetable or this fruit, and you're like, oh, this is really good for eggs. It's not proven, but it's like a wives' tale, right?
The amount of like fad products they sell here is like incredible. Like, you'd think that we're in the age of science, right? Like, I thought that people like knew that half the shit they see on packaging is bullshit, right? Like the amount of like just weight loss things that I've seen here is incredible. Like, put this pad on your belly and it will just magically go because of the gels. And it's like, that's just not how the body works. Like,
you know what's kind of incredible as well, like when it comes to like weight loss, like culture here in Japan. Apparently, I saw somewhere, and I don't know, don't quote me on this, but I saw a while ago that like Japan is really interesting when it comes to weight loss because we're one of the most like,
healthiest
countries in the world, and yet I think it's something ridiculous like 1 in 3 people diet.
It's crazy. I don't.
And I'm
understand.
like, you don't need to diet because that whole thing comes from the whole ridiculous standard of
everyone
beauty
needs to
here
be
in
like,
Japan, where like
flat.
everybody needs to be bulimic, otherwise you're not considered beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, but like going back to the fruit thing, I remember me and Aki went to like this new supermarket that opened up near our place.
Yeah.
And I wanted to check out the fruit section because I'm always curious. I'm like, how can we get ripped off anymore? And there were like these packet of there were these cherries, right? I love eating cherries. There were these packet of like cherries from America.
Yeah.
Which were like, there was like 30 of them in there and it was like 400 yen. I'm like, okay, a tad expensive, but not too bad. Right next to there was a pack of another 30 cherries, but they were from like Ibaraki or like somewhere local.
Yeah,
And it was obviously some kind of brand, right? Guess how much these cherries were?
Just going off Japan experience, like $30.
30, okay, so like 3,000 yen. How much do you think it was?
I think like 2,500 yen. So
25, like
2,000.
Yeah, 2,500 yen, right?
$25.
Yeah, think of 6,500 yen.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my god.
For 30 cherries, homegrown.
Okay.
Like what? Like I swear, like I was really tempted to buy, just being like, I swear to God, if one cherry doesn't give me an orgasm, like it's not worth it.
Yeah,
Like,
I know, right?
It's just not worth it.
It's good. It's good fruit. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But is it worth the fucking premium that I'm paying?
Right.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Stupid. Like it's already a luxury just to buy regular fruit.
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
like
yeah.
regular non-branded fruit.
Exactly.
And it's like, who is buying this? That's my biggest concern. It's like, what kind of fruit elitist is like buying these like $60 cherries from like down the road? You know, it's like,
5-star Michelin fucking cherries.
It's like,
what?
it's like, who is buying these and being like, yes, I can definitely taste like the homegrown quality in this.
It's the fucking elderly. It's the grandmas.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
this is hidden health benefits.
This is low
good.
GMO.
This cherry will fix your erectile dysfunction.
This isn't from America. It's
So-
homegrown
But no,
Japan.
going back to people who stay thin in Japan, I think one preconception I had is that I would just move to Japan and because
Oh, God, I know what
because
you're gonna
Japanese food is so healthy, you just like lose weight automatically.
Right.
I'd like zero effort, lose weight automatically.
Most restaurants have a menu, surprise, surprise.
Right.
And if you just pick the unhealthy option, you ate the unhealthy option.
Yeah, you gain just as much weight. I think
Yeah.
the whole preconception is that like, I think especially when it comes from like Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not so much about like the actual fact that like the food is healthier. And I'm sure like if you like constantly go eat out of like traditional Japanese restaurants that
Yeah.
serve traditional Japanese food,
Yeah.
yes, you're probably getting healthier stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it just seems healthier, especially when compared to like Americans, because the portion sizes are just smaller.
Yeah.
And like the whole combini, all that stuff is definitely not healthy.
Oh, no,
Like, that
no,
stuff's
no.
awful
It's
for you.
delicious, but it's not
Like, it's
healthy.
That's the problem. Everything's delicious, so you just want to keep
Yeah.
eating more and more.
Right.
I think we mistake it as like a food culture thing as to why everyone's so thin here, but it's definitely like when you live here, you realize really quickly it's like a lifestyle thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a
because they
lifestyle
walk so much. Most people do exercise unless they're super busy with work, and I
Yeah.
mean that's already draining enough. But I've noticed that people don't really like eat lunch or breakfast much here. It's like a light bite most of the time, unless it's a business meal.
Yeah.
Then
Right.
that's when they'll eat lunch. But most people, I think, just have like an onigiri or like a small snack, and
Or
then
like
they,
a calorie, mate.
right. And even then, I think most people are just too exhausted by the time they finish work. They just have something just because they need to,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
they go to bed. Where I mean, when you're a YouTuber, like I eat because I'm bored. And trust me, there is more than enough stuff to eat here that is like terrible.
I'm sure the
Yeah.
amount of food they just like are used to eating as
Yeah.
well is greatly different to like any like standard of like a Westerner, right?
Oh no!
Yeah.
Like for me, whenever I have like a sweet, like an ice cream, for
Everything
example.
is sweet here.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
And it's so good. Like I normally,
amazing.
normally I hate sweets,
Same,
but now
same.
when I go to a combini, I have to get at least one snack or one sweet.
But like the one thing I can't forgive, especially this is not just Japan, this is all Asian countries,
Yeah.
is sweet bread.
Oh, I just think
I can't. I don't understand that.
I can't speak of other Asian countries, but this country's bread is a joke. Like,
Oh, yeah.
this is not like I
It's
don't know,
not bread.
Like,
No.
half the bread that you can choose. Like, I have not seen a single bread that is like multi-grain bread, like just brown bread, right? Finding anything but white bread, and then sometimes like bread with custard in it. Who the fuck wants bread with
Okay,
custard?
I fuck with bread. And
no.
custard.
This is,
I fuck with it because I grew up eating that shit. But
and then there's other stuff, and it's like in the UK. The one thing that I realized now I took most for granted was just a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like the one thing that everyone feels entitled to in the UK is a loaf of bread. Like, it is like the staple of the house, right? Everyone has a loaf of bread.
You just go to like fucking Tesco's,
It's £1
Waitrose.
at most. You can even get the cheaper option. Still a whole loaf of bread for like 80 cents, right?
Yeah.
80 cents, 80 M, whatever.
how many loaves of bread? How many slices of bread do you get in the UK?
You get like 12, like 12,
Yeah.
10.
Okay.
You get a full loaf, like this big.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
You
okay,
get a
okay.
big-
That's
Japan,
in
you get
Australia.
half the fucking loaf
You get
and they've cut it.
You get 6 slices.
You get 6 slices, but it's not only 6 slices. It's like a brick of fucking like.
It's not even a slice. Like, it's too thick to make a sandwich out of.
It's so thick that the toaster struggles to toast it all the way through. You have to like put that bitch in for like 10 minutes and it's like lightly brown. And I'm just like, I just want toast.
Yeah, I think bread has been the thing that I've missed the most. If not that, cheese. Like,
Oh, don't get me started on cheese.
you can get good cheese here, but for the same block of cheese in the UK, like a kilogram of cheese, I would pay like £2-3, right? So that's like what, $4 or $5. Here, if I want like 200 grams or 500 grams of good, like actual cheese, not that god awful shit they have here, it's like $15. Like, and I'm not paying that much for cheese because I just can't, like, in my head.
I mean, it's a bigger struggle for me, like, considering that Australia is, like, known for its cheese. Like, all supermarkets in Australia have an aisle specifically
Yeah, yeah,
for cheese.
Oh, no,
as
no,
well,
no, no.
yeah.
Right?
Here, you have to go to a specific specialized supermarket for foreign cheese and everything like that.
I just want a great cheese on shit.
Or it's in a tiny corner of the dairy section.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like the most processed fucking cheese
American
you could
cheese.
ever.
They'll have like 1,000 meters of tofu. Don't you worry about it. They'll have every single tofu imaginable. They'll have like it's the same tofu, but with like it's like instead of 0000F on the color grade, it's 000.1F.
It's one shade whiter.
It's literally like the shit they'll sell. But like cheese, no way. Get that shit out of here. We don't need cheese.
You know it's fucked when we have more variations of natto than we do cheese.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, not that I'm complaining, but
Yeah, I don't know how you handle natto, man. Natto's...
I just grew up with it, man. Like, that's,
Yeah.
I'm open to things.
Yeah.
I think I have a really good like palate. I can
Yeah.
eat anything, but natto, I don't know what the fuck.
I don't want to be
is.
that guy,
I
but
don't-
it's an acquired taste. You know.
You can say that again. You know, I feel that I'm pretty international and I'm open to trying new things. There's a few things in the world that I just don't get. Natto is one of them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to betray my own country. Durian is another one. I'm sorry, guys.
See, I've never tried like
I've never
real
had durian
durian,
as well.
but I've always wanted to.
What are some like? I guess when we're talking about it, what are some misconceptions about Japan that you think you experienced? Because for me, I thought for some reason I thought I was going to eat way more fish by just being. I mean, in comparison, I guess I do eat slightly more fish.
Right.
But I thought fish was going to be way more of a factor in my life than it actually is.
I know.
And I feel like if you want to avoid fish in Japan, it is so easy.
Oh yeah,
Like it
Very,
is.
very. I mean, I think that also comes from the whole fact that like because there are more foreigners living here, like there were just like. Especially like even in between the 4 years that I've been living here, there are so many more vegetarian and vegan places open now.
Yeah.
Like it's incredible, especially in Tokyo. But like, no, I agree. Like, I love me my fish. Don't get me wrong.
Same.
But I'm definitely not going to eat sushi every week like most of my fans think I am.
Yeah, I
Like,
can't
you
eat
know, like-
sushi every day. It's like a like nice little treat.
Right.
I know what you guys are on about. If I could eat sushi every week, I would, and I do most before pre-quarantine, like because going to like this dollar sushi chain, I fucking love it because you get better sushi than you do for paying 30 quid or whatever you do in the UK.
I think
for
sushi
a fucking dollar, and it's fucking amazing. And I do eat quite a lot of fish, mostly because I eat sushi a lot, and when you cook at home, cooking.
Oh yeah, I love
salmon.
cooking salmon, cod.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
so
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
And because there's so much fish, like in the UK, sometimes you could get like meat that's been like seasoned already. Like,
Yeah.
and you can get like fish in supermarkets here that's already been like pre-seasoned, everything. So literally all you got to do is open that bad boy up, throw it in a pan, and you got an amazing tasting
Yeah.
fish.
I
It's
think
so good.
I think it's just habit, basically.
Yeah,
Because
it
if you
is,
don't
yeah.
have the habit of eating fish, you can,
Yeah.
there's so many other shit that you could eat because it's so readily available.
Pizza potato, that's the best. Do you know what pizza potato is? Come to Japan, it's amazing. I fucking.
But
swear
that's the
by
thing,
it.
right? It's like
Sorry,
I
I
think
interrupted you. Gone, by the way.
I think most people think that like, oh, we just all there is to eat is
Yeah.
just like sushi, is because like as obvious as this is gonna sound, Japanese food culture is just so much more than that. Like
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
so much more than fish.
I
Yeah.
have consistently had the best Italian food here, as opposed to there would be some.
There's someone Italian out
Yeah,
there
he's like,
just
what the
like
fuck?
cringing.
Yeah.
going to Italy, it's no contest, right? But compared to the UK, where it was literally like it was a coin toss, right? You'd go to a place and the pasta was like god awful, like it's the
Yeah.
saddest carbonara. Which how can you fuck that up? That's like pasta 101, right? You come here and I feel like you just always consistently have like a good experience with every kind of food, right?
Right,
like,
right.
I mean, you know this. Chinese food in the UK is a joke.
we're not going to get into that. I could spend a lot of talking about Chinese food. in
Any
England.
kind of cuisine you can imagine, except maybe like American food, like really
Like diner food,
portion
right?
heavy, yeah, like meat, like really like ribs and stuff.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
It's hard to get that, but I'm fine with going to America or going back to the UK and having that myself every now
Yeah,
and then.
yeah.
For the overall trade off of all right, consistently I get better meals. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Is there anything else that like haven't met your expectations or haven't met your preconceptions?
Yeah, I want to know as like a resident, right? Or like, non-Japanese.
This is gonna sound dumb as fuck, right? And I know it's gonna sound dumb, but I knew things were going to be difficult that I couldn't speak Japanese or read Japanese.
Right.
More so read than anything. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you can, for some reason, you can be fine not speaking Japanese here, but if you can't read, like you're in for like a storm of trouble. Because there are so many things. And I think you all can agree on this. If Amazon didn't exist here and have
Oh my god!
if Amazon didn't have English settings here, I genuinely don't know what I would do because
no.
the websites here in Japanese, like, I don't know if they've done this on purpose or due to the old interface. They do not work well with Google
I
Translate.
mean, it's all going back to that like 90s web.
No. They don't
right.
know how to design their websites. It's not user friendly. So if you can't speak Japanese or read Japanese, you're kind of fucked.
yeah.
And
the Google Translate does not help.
no,
a lot
it doesn't
of them.
help.
No.
It can help you like feel like you kind of feel
Yeah.
your way through, but you
Yeah.
cannot tell what the fuck you're doing. The only reason we've been able to get through it is because we've had fucking
Friends, we got a
Yeah.
company helping us. Like
Yeah,
it makes
yeah.
it so much easier for
Yeah.
all. Yeah, Joey.
I
shout
am
out to
that
Joey.
friend.
Yeah.
Joey helped me a lot when we moved here. Like helped me out doing all the
I had to go to the town hall with you to like fill out your papers.
But that's the thing, right? Is that you'd think like in the big population areas they'd have like a lot of English support, but I think they said like if you come on these certain days, like setting up internet. Do you remember how much of a hassle that was?
my God.
Like I remember that AU, right? They say they have an English location in
Yeah.
Shinjuku.
Oh yeah.
That's a fucking lie.
No. Their English location is that they have a tablet which can call a call center that can translate the person for you,
Yeah.
kind of, but not really. But that's the closest.
Did you
are
even get
going
that
to
far? 'Cause I didn't even get to the guy on the tablet. I just turned up saying on the website, this says this is the
No,
English
no.
location.
Yeah,
and they were like, no. And I'm like, well, what do I do? How the fuck do I get internet?
Yeah, yeah.
Help me.
Like luckily I had a cousin who worked in Japan,
Right.
so she could speak Japanese. She helped me through so much, and I don't know what I would do without her.
Yeah.
And same with you.
Yeah,
you,
same,
you
same.
needed like you
Need a lot of
You
help.
feel like a baby because
I genuinely don't know like how there are some foreigners here who can't even speak English.
Yeah,
Who somehow
At least
made
you-
it
like,
here
yeah.
on their own. And I'm like, how the fuck did you do that?
Because at least they have a lot of English words, right? And a lot of like, English options
Yeah.
sometimes. But
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you can't speak English, fuck, I don't know what.
I don't know how
I don't
they
know.
do
Like
it.
English is hard enough as it is.
Yeah.
If you can't speak Japanese, then I think you're pretty much fucked. Or if you can't speak.
Real positive message coming out of this episode.
No, because that's the thing a lot of people don't talk about, which is how hard it is to live here, actually live here without speaking Japanese. Because coming on, like we said, it's so different living here as working here and just live visiting here as a tourist.
Yeah.
There's a world of difference, and there's so many little things. Like, for example, registering with the town hall.
Yeah.
How the fuck am I supposed to do that if I don't speak Japanese? Because they don't speak English, and all the forms are in Japanese.
Yeah, the forms they tell you that you need to do that within 2 weeks of moving here.
Yeah.
Are also in Japanese. The only reason
It's simple. Just learn Japanese in the 2 weeks that you're here.
The only reason we knew is because the lawyers told us, "Hey, you've got to do this." But
Yeah.
like, if we didn't know that, I don't know what I was. I would have just carried on living.
You need a dedicated agency just to help you with all the admin stuff. Because
I mean, I
otherwise-
can understand the language, and I still had to like learn from like my cousins who live here. That
Yeah,
like
because there's
this is
so
just
many
how it
systems.
works.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I have to go to the town hall and register for like my address and like my health certificate and all of that shit. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I never had to experience that
Yeah,
living in
yeah.
Australia.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
exactly.
never had to experience that while visiting here, right? So it's
Yeah.
just. It's overwhelming, and like it's like massive kudos to people who don't know Japanese or even don't know English.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how the fuck they do it without the help
yeah.
of an agency. Like,
So to clarify, you can live here if you don't speak any Japanese or if you're learning. But I think if you're somehow coming here alone without anyone helping you, it's gonna be hell. On Earth.
Yeah.
Because it was hell enough with multiple ways of us having help, right? It was just, and I felt so bad for Joey the amount of times I had to ask him for help. I was like, he fucking hates me at this point. Every day I'm coming over with a form.
that's not like, don't worry.
I'm like, hey Joey, what does this say? And then also, like, until you figure this out, right? If you miss a package in the post, you get a little form through your mailbox that's all in Japanese, and you need to figure out how the fuck you're going to reschedule this thing. Luckily, there's I found a way eventually, which was like scan the barcode with like whatever thing you have.
Yeah.
It'll take you to a website, use Google Translate to translate it, and then hope that the translations are rough enough where you can like figure out what's being said. And that's what I
Right,
do every
yeah.
time now. But
Yeah.
for the first week where I didn't know that, every time I missed a package, I was like, hey Joey, can you call them up and tell them I'm gonna be home at
There was like a
12?
month where like I was calling up these guys more often for his packages than I was for my own packages.
I felt so bad, but I was like, I need the package. It's my fucking desk. And again, like, let's trace it back again. And I hate being like nice to a $1 trillion company like Amazon, but without them and like the English, because you can just change it to English, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they have support in English. I'd know because I've had to like return items and stuff. Like, it's literally no different from using like Amazon in the UK, except maybe sometimes the translations don't work one for one, but you can pretty much find what you want. Like, you can type it in English.
I mean,
and it comes up.
we basically furnished our entire
Yeah, my whole
apartment
house is Amazon.
using
Yeah,
Amazon
yeah.
because like they have like a Japanese IKEA which is called Nitori, but you have to go to the store, you have to register, you have to put in your address and all that
It
stuff.
takes like 20 days to deliver anything. Did
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
that? How crazy is that? Like,
Yeah.
if you want to, like, their version of IKEA, there's IKEA here as well, but it's very expensive. If you buy stuff from Nitori, which is like their version of IKEA, like you said, it's like there's a lot of waiting time, like 20 days, I think, for some products.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't wait 20 days for a bed. Like, I want to sleep. Like, what do you mean?
Let me just sleep on the hard floor.
Yeah,
for
what am I
20
gonna
days.
do? And yeah, just also any advice to someone moving to Japan, please make sure your house has AC before you move in, because I didn't, and I had to pay, I think it was like $2,500.
Your previous tenant like jacked the
He
fucking
gutted.
AC.
He fucking gutted the whole place. He took everything. He took the light bulbs. Who takes light bulbs?
Oh
when you
yeah,
leave?
that's a frequent occurrence you'll see. Like going into a new apartment, there won't be any lights.
Right.
You have to
Yeah,
buy your own
But
lights.
like, when I move out of a place, I'll leave stuff that I think is like super generic that like you
Yeah.
don't need to think about. Like,
Right.
I'll just, I'll leave the bulbs in. If I have like a doormat, I'll just leave the doormat. Like,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
They can throw it away if they don't want it.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like they took everything. They took everything. So I moved in.
took everything from you.
I moved in with no AC, and it was getting really cold. And I
Yeah.
think there's one cosplay video where I was like fucking freezing during this video, and I was getting like naked for it, and I was like,
Not only that, but you were in like the coldest room of your
Yeah,
house.
it
yeah,
was-
yeah, exactly. The tatami room.
Yeah, the
The tatami
tatami
room,
room.
which retains no
So-
heat.
No.
just like before you move, just like please, before you move into an apartment, please make sure there's AC there. Otherwise, that's going to be a huge cost when you move. So I had to pay $2,000+ for 2 AC units.
Jesus.
And I don't know what I'm going to do with that if I ever move back to the UK. Like, I guess
Jack it,
I,
dude.
I
Jack
guess
it.
I guess I
Bring
have
it
to
with
sell
you.
it. Right.
UK could use AC.
but like, okay, let's say you paid for an apartment, right? You paid for the AC in that apartment, right? Like, that's part of your bill. Whereas I had to pay $2,000 independently, so that you could argue that my rent has gone up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it's just like dumb shit like that I didn't consider
No, so okay, one thing that was different for me is how much I thought I would go to Akihabara versus how much I actually go to Akihabara. My
Onsens
God.
too.
Yeah, because every time we
We haven't gone since you guys moved.
I know.
It makes me so sad.
Like, because I remember, like, every time we visited here on holiday, we'd spend half our time there,
Akihabara,
or something like that.
Of course,
going to Akihabara. It's the proper weeb experience.
Not
right?
proud to admit that, but it was like the like imagine every single anime convention shoved into one.
It is like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
mecca of weebs.
Yeah. Yes.
Like it is just the holy land for
Yeah.
weebs.
But then you move here and you're like, man, Akihabara is not only a long way away, but you can get a lot of shit better online
It's-
for
yeah.
cheaper if
I
you can
find
figure
stuff way
out Japanese
cheaper.
websites.
Not only
right?
that, but there are just like cities that just are better for like all round like experiences. Like that's
Yeah.
why I love like Ikebukuro.
Yeah. Because with Akihabara, you only go there for anime.
Yeah.
And if you want to do something else, then it's not the best place to go. But if you
Yeah.
go to somewhere like Ikebukuro, you can still shop for anime figurines. You can still go
Go down Otome Road.
Exactly. Go to the anime there, which is also in Akihabara.
Yeah.
But then you could also go to an izakaya afterwards, or go karaoke, or a lot of other things. It's a lot more varied. There's a lot more variation outside of Akihabara than if you want just
Not to downplay Akihabara though.
no.
It's amazing. Don't like
Yeah.
it's
No,
it's
like
great.
every weeb should go to Akihabara.
Yeah, it's an experience.
You'll have a spiritual awakening when you go to Akihabara.
But
It is
if-
crazy. Like the first time you go there, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
holy shit. What?
This is what I dreamed about.
3 Sega arcades right next to each other? Why?
It's just kind of like information overload, right? You,
Yeah,
you
it's a
get
lot.
blasted with so many lights, with so much shit just around you. You don't know where to go. You can spend an entire fucking day in one store.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
easily.
Because if you
Easily.
want to look for deals, right, and figures, you got to pull out the whole shelf because they hide shit like way in the back, and sometimes you might find that one deal that is like all you fucking talk about.
Yeah.
So when I found that one thing for like $20, it's going
If
for
you want to
5
get a
cents.
figurine for like the best price, you got to like create a Google spreadsheet to be like,
Exactly.
all right, this store has it for this price, but the store down there has
Yeah.
it for 10% cheaper. So you got to like keep track of everything. Yeah.
and then you ultimately realize that it's cheaper on Yahoo.
It's like half the
Auctions.
price on Amazon.
It's
Yeah,
way
even-
better to buy online.
Yeah, even Amazon here, like the figures are way cheaper sometimes in the
Yeah.
stores, which is like weird.
See, because
Yeah.
for me, like Amazon itself was just like a huge revelation because we don't have Amazon in Australia.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, you don't?
No,
That's
we
so
don't.
weird
Whoa.
to think that
We
there's
have-
a world.
we have-
without
How does a
Amazon.
country function
We
without
have
Amazon?
We have eBay and we have like our own version of Amazon called Gumtree, which is just like
we have
Gumtree.
Gumtree.
yeah.
Gumtree
That's-
is where I
that's-
used to like sell sketchy stuff to like
Yeah.
sketchy people.
Yeah.
That's like the Craigslist of Amazon, though.
Yeah, pretty much. But like Gumtree, I'm pretty sure is an Australian company.
Yeah.
And like, so we have Gumtree and eBay, and that's it. We don't
Yeah.
have Amazon. So like when, back when I was living in Australia and talking to like American like YouTuber friends who were like, oh yeah, I just got that off Amazon. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
How do you do that?
yeah, about that. They're selling it for 3 times the price on eBay. Does that count? I hated it. So when I moved here, Amazon was just like,
Whoa.
holy shit.
Next
it's gonna
day-
arrive
next day
tomorrow?
delivery?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Yeah, so that was amazing. But-
Because the thing about Akihabara, I feel it's more of an experience than an
Yeah.
actual. You don't go there to actually shop. You go there for like the Akihabara experience. Because
Oh, yeah.
like I remember one of the biggest things that I noticed going to Akihabara is that you can walk into one shop and you think it's like this single store shop that you're just gonna come in and come out, and then it turns out to be 7 fucking
Yeah.
stories and
Of shops.
yeah, of shops,
yeah.
and then you waste 5 hours there because there's so much stuff in this one shop.
It's so tightly packed in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
buy used figures as well. Like their version of used here is a joke.
No,
It's,
everything
it's
used here.
immaculate. It's immaculate.
Like, I feel bad now because when I use something, it's fucking messy as fuck. I have books that have like one single folded page or something that I like placed it down wrong, and that's just unusable here.
yeah, they'll be like
Yeah.
damaged goods, looks very used. And I'm like, what the fuck? Used in the UK is like if it's just barely functioning. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
it's barely functioning. It probably has like an STD. I don't fucking know what it's been through.
Whereas here
But-
it's like, have you opened the box?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
used.
which is fucking amazing. How Connor, you found probably the only used product in Japan, which was your fridge.
oh,
That
yeah.
Can we talk about that?
yeah.
that I'll let you tell the story,
Oh
but
my
it definitely
God.
was not in
So-
immaculate shape.
We had spent a lot of money on moving, right? As anyone knows, moving
Yeah.
is very expensive. and I'd heard of these like sayonara sales, as they're called. People who move from Japan, they basically sell all their stuff
that what
on.
they're called?
Yeah, sayonara sale. You know, and so they sell all their stuff on Craigslist. And Maylene kept telling me, a bookwalker kept telling me, like, dude, just buy all your stuff on Craigslist. It's like dirt cheap. And I thought, well, you know, it's
Great idea, Maylene.
Wow, call her out like this.
Yeah. You know, I thought, all right, well, you know, Japanese people are really great with like keeping their stuff immaculate. So
Yeah.
I speak to someone on Craigslist, a sauna fridge, and a laundry machine. Is that what you call it? Like, just
Washing
machine.
I don't fucking know.
A laundry machine.
A laundry device, Majidi. Anyway, I bought it for like, it was like $50, right? For a fridge and a laundry.
That's already a red
Right,
flag.
Right. But there was some people who were giving their stuff away for free. 'Cause
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
like,
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they were like, we're going to get charged by the local council.
Oh,
if we
yeah,
don't
yeah,
to get rid of the
so,
stuff.
So I didn't pay for anything else, not the moving fee or anything. So you were there in my house when it turned up.
Yeah.
Right? Like a guy from like New Zealand. Or
Yeah, he
somewhere.
was the Kiwi. Yeah.
Yeah, he just turned up and he was like, "All right, I'll fucking install the machine."
Is
for
that
you."
your Kiwi accent?
Yeah, I'm fucking. It's just
I'll
like
fucking install it for you.
I'll fucking install it for you. And so he was like, "Yeah, I'll install it for you." And I think I discussed with the person on Craigslist they were going to charge me like a tenner for installing.
Yeah.
Right.
So the guy was like, "Oh no, fuck it, mate." And so he installed it. And then like I got like, you remember? I got like angry fucking texts off the person off Craigslist. They were
Yeah.
like bombarding my phone. I picked up the phone, and then there was like an Indian woman shouting at me, being like, "Why didn't you pay him the 1,000 yen?" And I was like, "What the fuck? Shut up!" Like,
Because he said it was cool.
I'm like, he said it was fine. Why are
Yeah.
you fucking spamming my phone? And I was like, yeah. And so I was like, I was just like, hang up the phone. I was like, yeah, no, he left now. What the fuck do you want me to do? Like,
yeah.
What am I supposed to do? Stop shouting at me. I'm like, and I told her a message like, if you send me one more message shouting at me, I'm blocking you. and then
Giving that a hard block.
yeah, I was like, I'm gonna block you. Just don't you fucking dare talk. And
Don't at me.
Yeah. And the guy, the Kiwi, called me up and he's like, "All right, mate, listen here. She wants the money. I'm gonna come back and get it." And then I was like, "All right, fine. I'll just give you the tenner. I don't care. Can you just all stop calling me?
Yeah.
Like I just want to like enjoy my evening."
Yeah.
So I met him at the Combini, gave him the tenner, and then went back.
Yeah.
Next day, I opened my fridge. There's like 5 cockroaches in my fridge. It was like, I was like, holy fuck, right? No wonder they didn't want a foreigner in their house.
Right.
Imagine being the only foreigner in your building and that guy has cockroaches. Like, it's like
The cleanest country in the
right.
fucking world. I swear to God.
I'm the asshole who brought cockroaches into this place. So I bought a cockroach spray. I fucking tore this fridge apart, right?
Yeah.
I literally tore, like the felt that you have on fridges? That
Yeah,
have-
yeah.
I
Yeah.
tore all that shit off. I took everything out. I bleached the fuck out of this thing. Like my house must have smelled like a murder scene being cleaned, right? I bleached the hell out of this thing, and it was the most vile thing. Like the felt thing, right? I was shaking it out, and maybe like 100 cockroaches must have fell out. And I don't even want to know the living conditions of the person who sold me this fridge. But fuck you if you ever watch this. You are horrible. Do not sell people your fridges if they are in that condition.
Exposed.
Like,
How can you get cockroaches in the most
Yeah.
cleanest country
And
that
like-
I've ever been to? You go on the streets here and you don't see any fucking rubbish.
so,
There are less cockroaches in like the back of like a fucking Denny's here than there were in your fridge.
Yeah.
That, so that was my first experience buying used in Japan. And it was awful because I just thought like, God damn it, like I just got this house and I have cockroaches now.
Yeah.
And so I had to like scour my whole apartment just making sure these cockroaches didn't go anywhere. And like months after, I kept finding 1 or 2, and I'm like, how? I bleached everything. Like there is no reason these things should be existing.
That's cockroaches 101, man.
Exactly.
Once you thought you got rid of them all, they're still around.
So now
Yeah.
I got rid of the fridge because I just thought enough is enough. This thing looks disgusting. I threw it out.
yeah,
I
it
paid-
wasn't a nice looking fridge.
It was
anyway.
gross.
Yeah.
It looked like something like a homeless man would sleep.
Your
in.
apartment probably has a cockroach infection that you just put into there.
No,
You-
no,
you
no,
don't-
no.
you-
I got them
It's
all.
somewhere in the building.
I got them all. I got all those fuckers. I'm just saying. I spent a lot of time.
That's what you think.
So before we end this episode, I'd like to know, like, especially from you, because I know I experienced this. Like,
Yeah.
when you announced that you moved to Japan, because I kept mine secret for like a month.
Yeah.
Like,
Same.
I didn't tell anyone about the process. I only
Yeah.
really told close friends, but like.
Just kind of dropped it down, like.
I just kind of like made a tweet being like, "Live in Japan now. What's
Yeah.
up?"
Everyone's like, what?
Like, what reaction did you experience when you tweeted that?
I mean, everyone just assumes that I was following that weeb dream that that we talked about
Yeah,
earlier,
of
where
course.
just like, oh, you're finally being the final form of every weeb. You're finally in Japan.
Yeah.
You're gonna watch so much anime.
You're basically Japanese now.
I'm basically
Konnichiwa.
Japanese. Yeah, and everyone assumed I could already speak Japanese because I was moving to Japan.
Really?
Yeah.
People,
stupid
no,
are people?
no. I think a lot of people just rightfully not rightfully. I don't know. I would never assume if someone moves to a country that they can automatically speak the language.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I got so many comments, people being like, "But you can't speak Japanese, so like, why would you move there?" And I'm like, I don't really. It's not really that big of an issue. Like, I'm gonna learn it.
Yeah.
Well, it did become an issue, and it is an issue if we didn't have someone to help us.
It
as we
is an
discussed.
issue, but like, if you have, agency or friends,
It's
helping
not a
you,
requirement,
not-
yeah.
If you have Amazon, then
If
you're
you
good.
have Jeff Bezos, shout out, thank you. But yeah, I mean, carry on. Yeah, like, is that all you got? Like, everyone just assumed you're like the weeb dream, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get too much of like a reaction apart from just everyone was happy for me.
Yeah.
Everyone like wanted to know how I moved here or like
Got a lot of that,
what I
yeah.
went through.
Now you
much
know.
of,
Yeah.
exactly. Now you know. Much of the advice I can offer isn't too helpful because we were kind of the first of our kind. We were like some of the first
Yeah.
Anitubers to be able to move here for being an Anituber.
Yeah.
Basically, we got so good at being a weeb, the Japanese government allowed us to continue being weebs, and we're being paid. They gave us a visa for being a super fucking weeb.
Yeah,
basically.
pretty
And
much.
that's like we're the anomaly. We're the exception
Yeah.
in terms of.
I mean,
in
Aki
terms of that.
technically was here.
Yeah, no. She was the first. I'm saying like
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
one of the
No,
first.
no, of
'cause
course,
Aki
of course.
was the first.
Yeah, of
you
course,
know.
of course. Yeah, no, it's kind of incredible how. I mean, I felt the same way with Aki, but with you guys as well. That like, wow, like Anitube has gotten to that point now.
Yeah.
Because like even like 3 years ago,
Yeah.
it was fucking unheard of.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh yeah, you talk about anime on the internet for a living. Yeah. Good luck staying in your country for the
Yeah.
rest of your life, right? But like now, it's just like an actual
Yeah.
viable like career option.
If you can give back more than you take out,
Yeah.
then there's
Yeah.
no reason why I guess a government agency would not want to have that job there.
Right,
Yeah.
Like
right.
if you're giving more money and you're not doing any harm, and you're respectful, like why wouldn't they want you?
Yeah. It's been really humbling to like actually be working here officially,
yeah, it
doing anime YouTube, and it's been really weird, especially talking to people who work in the companies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And-
it's
Like
How'd you-
directly.
yeah. How do you
Right.
feel like your careers have been affected after moving here?
I mean, I think mine's like increased dramatically because now I do have access directly to
Yeah.
a lot of these like
yeah.
productions. Like I like I knew like a lot of people in the industry, quote unquote, while I was living in Australia.
Anime
but
industry.
Anime
Yeah.
industry. But like it is a completely different story when you move here.
Oh no, exactly.
Because like most of these Japanese companies don't know what the fucking email is.
no.
And they require you to meet in
Yeah.
person.
Oh
Unless you
no,
don't meet
like
in
like
person.
yeah. If you're gonna do business in Japan,
Yeah.
you need to have a face-to-face meeting.
Yeah.
No email, no fucking Zoom call.
Yeah, no
Fuck
phone,
that
not even a
shit.
phone call. It's like you need to come to our office
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we need to make sure that you're a real person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's all very traditional here. So
Yeah.
to do business with any anime company, which is why things move so slowly, is that you have to follow the tradition. You have to do that face-to-face meeting. They call a meeting for any fucking reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody sneezed in the office. We need
Yeah.
to discuss whether this is a potential anthrax infection.
Get HR on the phone.
yeah.
I mean, career-wise, I guess for me, the biggest thing is that like I just want to experience something else and also maybe learn another language. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Although it's painfully difficult to learn Japanese.
It is.
I just think getting more life skills can only be a plus, right? Like
Yeah.
if I continue doing what I was doing in the UK, I was doing a lot of voiceover, which sure I could probably go into that when if for some reason I stopped doing YouTube, but I think I just want to learn more skills in my life while I'm still young as well, right? And while I'm still open to doing things and putting myself out there.
Yeah.
And I think if anything for my career, definitely like that benefit of
Yeah.
hopefully learning more and
Yeah.
making new connections with maybe not the industry. I don't know what I'll go into, but I mean, we've definitely made connections as well,
Yeah.
just from being in a company under.
Yeah, not even in the anime industry, just like
Oh, just-
lots of industries.
You meet people that you never knew that you.
A lot of
would
creatives,
meet.
right? Yeah, a lot of cool people.
But like, I think the biggest barrier is like the language barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Japanese really needs to fix their difficulty curve because you go from fucking playing Animal Crossing when you're
like
learning
Doom Eternal on Nightmare, like it's like
katakana and hiragana is like you're just playing Animal Crossing and then suddenly you're doing like a no hit run in Dark Souls or something when kanji gets in and you're like,
pretty much,
what the fuck is going on? This is not the difficulty curve I wanted.
And the problem is with like kanji, at least, not problem. I mean, it's really beautiful like system of writing, and I've come to appreciate it more and more. But it's like, if you don't understand a baseline amount, you just can't read anything. Like, because the moment you do, you're like,
welcome to the past 25 years of my life.
Right? And it's like, it's not like, if I was learning French where I can sound it out and maybe I just can't I'm like, what the fuck is that thing? And then you're like, oh, I know what this kanji is. Turns out the kanji has 5 different pronunciations and meanings and you don't know which one's which because you just
have to know that shit.
It's just bullshit.
That's I think that's what's the most difficult, right? Is that like Japan is like an anti-phonetic country, right? You can't spell shit out. You just have to know it. And that's why it's so difficult for a lot of people. I mean, like...
That's right. I mean, I think we know a lot of people who can speak Japanese, but have not even attempted to learn to read Japanese.
No. It is a completely different ballgame. And I'm like, even like me having learned it pretty much my first language, I still struggle with it every now and then. It is like a constant learning process for me.
Yeah.
And like, thank God that my mum did whip my ass to like learn it when I was little, because Jesus Christ, my life has been a million times easier that I can read it and understand it. But
it's the one time when she said you appreciate it when you're older.
Yeah,
and you did actually appreciate it when you're older.
Thanks, Mum.
Exactly.
I'm like, you helped build my career, essentially. Yeah.
Everyone said that with Welsh. Didn't quite pan out. I mean, I appreciate the culture, but that's about as far as the usefulness goes.
But here's the question I want to ask you guys. How long, now that you've experienced living here for what, like 8 months now, essentially 7-8 months now, how long do you intend to stay here?
That's a good question. I think I've lived here long enough to know that I don't want to live here forever.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's just, at least right now and how Japan is, a lot of stuff that I just like don't gel with.
Yeah. I think I can definitely see myself, because I
but
feel
a long
like,
time though.
Yeah, because I've lived here for 8 months. It's felt like I've lived here for a month. And
Right.
I haven't even reached
Scratch the surface.
close to my final form. Is
that an anime reference?
I know we've hardly talked about anime on this podcast. But I mean, I feel like I want to explore Japan more. I want to learn the language way more proficiently than I have now. I want to take advantage of it way more, and I want to experience Japanese cultures more. Because the one target I've set myself, I should say, is being able to like have a conversation with some of the businesses and going to some of the office parties and actually being able to participate in the conversations and everything like that. That's like my goal when it comes to learning, and
same. I just want to be able to communicate.
And
learn a bit of kanji, right? Learn the basics, just so I can like figure out, what the McDonald's menu says. You know what I mean? Like, it's. I can definitely see it being like a second home to me, right? A place where maybe I can easily go back to at months periods. But I think like when I'm like 50 or whatever, I think I'm gonna miss because I think I've been really ingrained in British culture of like how friendly and open it is. I really like that. Like, especially in Wales, you just rock up to a pub and you can speak to anyone there. In the small pubs in Wales, like I love that, and I kind of miss that a bit. And I think I don't know. I mean, I'm 8 months in. Maybe in a podcast in a year, we'll talk about it, and our minds will have changed. I'll be like, I want to live here forever, right?
Yeah.
I think because right now I feel like a foreigner still, right? And I think that's probably never going to change. But maybe at some point I'll finally feel like I can call this place home.
Yeah. It might smoothen out a little bit more. Right?
Probably. I imagine it will, unless I get arrested and convicted of a crime that I wasn't accused of, and I'm in prison for 100 years. But what's the odds of that?
Before we end the podcast, there was like one story I wanted to end on, which is like it completely shattered what my preconceptions of moving to Japan would be. And that was at one of the company parties that we attended with Bookwalker and Geeks Plus and Katakara in general, and it was to do with my fiance Sydney. So what happened was we went to a company party, everyone got pretty merry, and then we went to a bar afterwards, right?
Oh, I think I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah. And so we went to, it was like a very intimate bar. So it didn't fit a lot of people.
Room
And-
for like 10 people maybe.
yeah,
Maybe
a good,
12 at a push.
a good 10 people. And, you know, there were a lot of people from the company, some pretty high up from the company. And then we started singing karaoke together. And so Sydney, being the drunken little weeaboo that she is,
She's such a weird.
unlike us, she went through her weeb phase, right? She went proper full cringy weeb phase,
Yeah.
unlike us.
I guess 'cause
right?
I love Sydney. I love you should watch this.
Yeah.
Isn't she like kind of the face of like the cringy weeb because of that video? Like I'm just
According to
mean,
the internet.
Sydney's gonna fucking kill me for saying that.
she had that phase when
Right.
she went there. So we start singing karaoke, and she starts singing the Anohana ending. Right?
And me and Garnt were like, "Fuck, why?
And you're like,
why?
what the fuck are you doing? She went like, you're in front of a lot of important people in the company, and she starts bailing the fucking Anohana ending, and then the fucking businessmen start clapping and cheering her on. I start singing along, and I'm just sitting there like.
We were both shocked.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I looked at Connor and I'm like, is this r/it
Yeah, right.
really happens right now? Are we living a 2007 Tumblr post?
Yeah.
Like,
my
yeah.
God.
So like I moved to Japan and I was in an important business meeting, a business party, and then we started singing the Anohana opening, ending even. And then everyone started clapping and cheering, and it was amazing. I'm like, this is so surreal right now.
It's literally an r/happened post, right? It's like this definitely happened.
Oh my god.
But it's great because I feel like when you do sing stuff like that, it's never they're never like, oh my god, they're trying to be like us. They're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, they care about our culture. That's
Yeah,
so
they,
cool.
They really do.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what I want to end on, which
Yeah.
is like I think it's, you know, we started on the good sides and the bad sides of Japan, but I think they really do care about our culture.
Yeah.
They really care about learning more, and they are open to foreigners. There's just sometimes a lot of barriers that come between that. And I guess one of the biggest things you can do is learn Japanese, because that's such a...
They love it. They love it if you speak Japanese.
They love
'cause
it.
I think
Yeah.
to them, it's like you've made an effort to learn their
Yeah,
culture.
yeah.
No,
right? And-
I mean, and you know, likewise, right? Like if somebody comes over to like your country and
Yeah.
they can understand your language, like
Yeah.
that's immediately like, oh yeah,
Oh
you have
yeah,
my
dude.
respect
If you
now.
could speak Welsh in Wales, like you're immediately like you're like loved because like people in Welsh can't even speak Wales. Welsh people can't even speak Welsh, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can imagine it's like one of those, right?
Yeah.
And I think like you said, right, all differences aside and all complaints that we have, like at the end of the day, I don't think I've ever spoken to a person here who's been rude to me.
No.
And everyone has been super nice, and you know, you might get stared at or anything, but that's not a place of like, you know, aggression or anything. They just don't see it often. And at the end of the day, they're really, really nice
No, the
people.
positives definitely outweigh the
Oh,
negatives.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just British, right? So to me, it's like 1% negative, 99% positive. I only see this, right? That's what you're raised as British. But-
Exactly.
But,
Yeah.
overall, it's an amazing country, and I'm glad
Yeah.
that we got the chance
I'm
to
having
live
a
here.
great fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad you
With
guys
the
are having a
boys.
fun time.
With the boys.
boys get to do his fucking podcast.
TTP. Oh my god. Oh my
It was a
god.
good 2-episode run then, eh?
Thank you for tuning into the final episode.
Yeah, so I think that's a good place to end it. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for tuning in to Trash Taste Podcast episode 2. We didn't have any Twitter questions yet because episode 1 hasn't aired as of recording this.
But make sure to go follow at Trash Taste Pod on
Yeah.
Twitter. Give us your
Go to the
suggestions.
Oh yeah, we
subreddit
have
as
a
well.
subreddit as well.
We
Yeah,
do.
Joelle, you made it. So
We have a
Joelle.
subreddit, r/trash taste. My username is I came for memes. Don't ask me why. It's a throwaway account. I had to make something.
So if you don't want to use Twitter, you can always hit us up on
Yeah.
our subreddit.
Yeah.
Give us like topic suggestions, questions, any of that kind of stuff.
yeah, we're
And,
we're eager to get more community involvement.
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
We can't wait for all this to air.
Because right now it's just us just fucking talking to each other. Like we don't know what's gonna happen. We'll see.
This is just another fucking Friday night at Kentucky for us. So yeah, we'll see you in episode 3.
Thank you
Alright.
for being such a good host, Garnt.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday! Woo!